Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and this is another week of really fantastic topics. I have put an amazing panel together for this outstanding community. And you know what? I don't know if we're going to be able to match last week's 2.5 hour show, one of the longest in the show's history, but we're certainly going to give you a action-packed 2 hours. And there's so much content to talk about. But before I do that, I have to talk about my outstanding panel. First up, you know him as a Breakfast with Boom regular panel member. He's known to be a very supportive and kind of a gamer. We know him as Emperor Zemi. He's a diehard Xbox fan who bleeds green when you cut him, but don't do that because you won't like him when he's angry. He's a gamer who will never play Resident Evil 2 or anything scary for that matter, but he's also a community member with one of the biggest hearts that I know. Please welcome Emperor Zemi. I said it twice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Boom. Your intros are always fantastic. Super excited to be here. We have so many great topics to talk about. I don't even know if we're going to hit them all, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that my intro is nice, sweet, and short. So thank you so much.
No, dude, it's great to have you here as always. It's great to have you as a regular panel member. We are waiting for two other members. Hopefully they get here before I finish so I can give them the intros that they deserve. But next we have a gamer making his second appearance on Breakfast with Boom. He's a corporate and private equity lawyer who escaped Brexit Island using the training he acquired from being a division agent, a gamer who is sharing his PS4 Spider-Man screenshots as if he were Peter Parker himself, someone who has a house cat that acts like a human being. Please welcome Luke. And no, it's not Luke Skywalker. I don't have that kind of budget.
Thank you very much, Sean. That's an amazing intro. Just playing The Division, actually. Such a fantastic game. Great topics today, so I can't wait to get stuck into them, and yeah, just looking forward to just chatting about them.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun show. I'm glad you're here. But you know what? Last and in no least for right now, because we do have two other guests coming. He's a returning guest. He's a full-time bus driver who transitions those skills to be the best Forza Horizon 4 driver this side of the dirt track, a connoisseur of professional boxing and UFC bouts, continuing his love of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. He's a die-hard Xbox gamer, not afraid to make a meme or two denouncing the PlayStation shortcomings. Please welcome Shan786. Shan, you there, brother? All right. Well, we'll come back to Shan in a second. You know what, guys? Like I said, we are waiting on two other panel members. We'll get to them as soon as they get here. But let's opening up with the first topic. Last week, we closed the show with Star Wars. And because Star Wars Celebration that took place last weekend, I thought it'd be fitting. Wait, somebody's mic is open.
Yeah, Welsh is here.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys? Sorry for my late appearance. How is everybody?
Okay, Welsh. Well, welcome, dude. That was I guess that was your mic that was open. You know what? Let's give you the proper intro that you deserve. He is the creator of the awesome Dragon X podcast, and he has an outstanding YouTube channel. He is an integral part of the Xbox Factor podcast, diehard Xbox gamer, smasher of all trolls on social media, and a very good friend of mine, all the way from not London, but Wales in the UK. Please welcome the Welsh gamer.
Oh, thank you, Boom. I appreciate it, man. And I do apologize for being late by a couple of minutes.
Oh, that's okay, dude.
But no, man, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. We got a lot of good topics. Hopefully we'll get through them all. So I'll keep my intro short and sweet, and let's rock and roll. I'm glad to be here.
Well, listen,
Boom, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you now, brother. You kind of cut out there for a second. We did give you your intro.
Yeah, I heard the intro, yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the show, dude. Glad to have you back.
No, it's good to be back, Boom. I appreciate it, and let's crack on.
Okay, well, listen, like I was saying earlier, Last week, obviously, if you were a Star Wars fan, was a great weekend for you. Lots of information. Like I was saying in the opening a few seconds ago, we closed out last week's show talking about Star Wars. So I thought it might be fitting to talk about Star Wars on the opening, more specifically, just Disney in particular. Now, I understand that this is, of course, a gaming show, but, movies, TVs, anime, toys, collectibles, statues, they kind of all go hand in hand. And I wanted to talk about, Star Wars more particularly. Obviously, like I said, the celebration took place last week, and I was very excited as a fan, and Respawn Entertainment, who is, of course, the makers of Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2, and, of course, the incredible Apex Legends, showed off the Star Wars the Fallen Jedi trailer, and the Jedi Fallen Order trailer, and obviously they come from a background of Infinity Ward, and they were responsible for some of the best Call of Duties. Now, I don't know how you feel about Call of Duty now. It's not the same since Vince Zampella and Jason West were ousted. And it's interesting to know that the storytelling that comes along with what Vince Zampella and Respawn can do is, of course, going to be now into a Star Wars game. So now you fast forward to Saturday, where I expected to be blown away, to be honest with you. And sure, it was just a CG trailer, but it told a very interesting and unique story that in the 2 minutes and 28 seconds, I was blown away. But I kind of wanted to get the impressions of the panel. And I want to start with the Welsh Gamer. What were your takeaways from what they showed regarding Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order?
Oh, man. Can I just say that it is so nice to see. I'm a Star Wars fan, have been for years. So for me, it's nice to see Star Wars looking fresh again. Like it just looks revitalized. It looks different. It looks unique. It is so lovely to see, especially after, and this might not be a popular opinion, I don't know, but after the debacle that was the Last Jedi movie and the second Battlefield game, was,
sure.
It was an okay game. It was an okay game, but it's hardly incredible in my opinion. It won't make the history books. So after seeing this, I'm very excited. All I will say is that the fact that Respawn Entertainment are doing it gives me a boatload of confidence that we will be getting a great game with a fantastic story. The trailer looked exciting. I'll be honest, it gave me like the New Hope feel. Like, the movie, A New Hope. It gave me that kind of feel. Like, a random individual who you've just been thrown in the deep end with, and this individual just figures out that he has abilities and ultimately becoming a force-capable fighter, and eventually, judging by the trailer, you'll be wielding a lightsaber and becoming a bit of a badass. So it looks really cool. And speaking of the lightsaber, it looks like a mixture of metal and wood, and it looks like he handcrafted it with like the scraps in his backyard. It looked pretty cool. So, and I'm hoping that this character will be a memorable one, and, and will force a new and successful Star Wars saga in video game form. And I do believe us as Star Wars fans deserve it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's look, all I'm gonna say is that it's a single player game, which of course we have not had in a long time. Real quick though, Cat Daddy Fat Stacks with the outstanding $10 super chat. Dude, thank you so much. That is extremely kind of you. Thank you for being here. And of course, thank you for listening. He says, been enjoying your content since your first appearance on ILP. Yes, that's awesome, dude. Thank you so much for that. That was my first appearance on the Iron Lords podcast, was episode 73. Glad I can start this Good Friday off with some quality gaming conversation. Yes, dude. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here. That is, you know what? You being here is actually more important than the $10. I really do appreciate that. It does help me give, power the show where I can offer more giveaways through the donation. So really, I greatly appreciate that. But you know what, Zemi, I know you're a huge Star Wars fan, and there are a couple of important facts that kind of flew under the radar for some people anyway. Jedi Fallen Order has no microtransactions. It has no multiplayer. And what it does have is a strong single-player, story-driven narrative that is canon within the Star Wars universe. How do you feel about that, dude?
Oh, I am so excited. Like I was watching the trailer. I've seen the trailer like 3 times now, and I've smiled ear to ear each time I've watched it. I absolutely love it. The story looks amazing. The characters look amazing. The voice acting seems really, really good. I really did not care for all of the other Star Wars games that EA has been pumping out. Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, have not really cared for them. Some people like them. Personally, myself, I just don't really like them. But a single player Star Wars game is what I've been screaming for like the last 6 years, and it's finally going to happen. It's going to come out this year. I'm super excited. And I'm really excited just by looking at the trailer. It looks like just like the guy sitting in the audience at last year's E3 said, they're taking a more darker approach to to the narrative and to the story. I absolutely love that. I want to see people die. Which is not usually something that you want out of something that Disney makes, but I really do. Like I want a real deep, dirty story about how it was, after Order 66, because I mean, it wasn't a peaceful time with, rainbows and unicorns flying all around. It was horrible. And I just think I'm super excited for it. I really am. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm so excited.
There's something to be said about a single player Star Wars game. And you did touch on that, where we haven't had one in a while, and to have one where it looks like it's going to be a significant part of the universe is a big deal. Shan, are you there, brother?
I'm here, bro.
Okay, I'm not sure who's got some noise in the background.
It might be Welsh.
Okay, yeah, that might be Welsh. Okay, well, listen, I want to get to you on this.
What's my mic doing? Is it giving feedback? Is it?
No, I just hear somebody screaming in the background.
Oh, sorry. That might be my son in the garden.
Okay,
sorry, carry on, guys.
No problem. Shan, I want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, this is now canon. I think that this is going to be a character we're going to see for a while, and we're going to get to learn his origin and all about him. But the real important part of the whole story here is that Vince Zampella, who is a real serious developer, he takes his craft very seriously. He protects the people at Respawn. How do you feel about the fact that we're getting a story told by the master of storytelling through Call of Duty and, of course, the Titanfall single-player campaign?
Before I get into this, Boom, if Shady is listening in the chat, or even Salty, please cover your ears, because I'm not a big Star Wars fan.
Okay, that's okay. I mean, listen, everyone has an opinion.
But before Shady or Salty gets their lightsaber out and chop my ass in half, I have seen the first 5 movies, and number 5 is the best. But when it comes to this game, Boom, it's looking really promising, because Vince, I remember playing Titanfall 1, and that was an amazing game. And when they talk about this game, it's got the Uncharted style, third person, really good story. It has me interested, because Vince has done a great job. I know, obviously, they're not using the Frostbite engine; they're using the Unreal engine. So that's amazing, because Anthem was a piece of shit, and I take my L on that, because I said it was going to be a Destiny killer. So I have to take my L on that, but I'll keep my eye on it. I've seen the trailer; it does look pretty good to me, and I'll keep my eye on it and see what happens from there.
I mean, listen, it is just a trailer. It's a CG trailer, but it's telling a story. It's only 2 minutes and 28 seconds, but see, that's how you have something compelling. I wanted to reiterate the fact that it is a CG trailer. We have not seen gameplay as of yet. But in that 2 minutes and 28 seconds, it told a very strong story that got me already behind the character. Now, Luke, it's just so funny. It's funny that we have a gentleman named Luke, and we're talking about Star Wars. And you can't make this stuff up, guys. This is pure magic. Luke, in your opinion, I'd like to assume, and I could be wrong, that you're a Star Wars fan. But whether you are or not, how are your feelings on what you've seen in the trailer, and do you have faith that Respawn is going to completely knock it out of the park?
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty bad if I wasn't a Star Wars fan, actually, with the name. So yeah, it'd be quite disappointing. But no, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. My favorite games were the old Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, which were just sensational. And the trailer looks really interesting. I think I'm just excited that we're getting a single player Star Wars game. Battlefront 1 and 2 were really authentic, looking games, but I found them really dull.
Boring for sure.
Yeah, really boring. And the single player component of Battlefront 2 was also quite disappointing.
Too short, I think.
Yeah, it really short, and it kind of sold out the. It was going to be, to me, really interesting. Playing a character who is on the side of the Empire, and then within probably an hour or two of that game, suddenly that all goes out the window, and it's just the same Star Wars story we've kind of heard before. So even the interesting part they didn't really do much with. So the Respawn game really excites me for that reason. I think a thing that slips under a lot of people's radar about Respawn's take on this as well is that they hired. So the creative director for the game is Stig Asmussen, who was the creative director on God of War 3, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And they also hired a lot of talented staff from Sony Santa Monica around the time they were forming Stig's team. So there's a really good sense of pedigree in that team anyway. And also from the kind of gameplay snippets that have been talked about, it seems like Kombat's going to use, obviously it will use lightsaber and force, but it'll be a bit more slow and deliberate, a lot of parrying, counters and that sort of stuff, which, if you played Battlefront and you've picked up a lightsaber as Darth Vader, it's just madness. You're just swinging and completely going wild, and it's not really how you would imagine a combat with a lightsaber would be in a game. So I'm really excited about that. And I think also they talked about that there's kind of hub areas in the game, so you'll be able to travel to different planets, and they won't be open world, but there will be a bit like the new God of War, where there's kind of a big open area you can go.
But yeah, it's just contained to one particular part of the map. I'm okay with that, dude. That still allows you to explore.
Yeah, exactly. It's not fully open world, but I wouldn't want it to. I thought God of War especially was kind of perfect for that. It wasn't too overwhelming that it was too open world, but it was large enough that you could really go and explore and find things that are interesting. So I'm super excited. I didn't feel like the trailer was it didn't grab me in the same way as I think it grabbed other people, but that doesn't mean I'm not as excited for it, because I really am. Respawn are a fantastic developer.
Yeah, well, one of the things that have been asked for in past Star Wars games that has not happened was when you hit someone with a lightsaber, limbs come off.
Yeah.
And I know that it has been spoken. Yeah, yes, thank you. There you go, Welsh. I know that Welsh has been asking for it, but I think it has been explained that if you go and you attack a stormtrooper and you cut him, hands and arms are going to fly off, and you know what? That's okay, because it's going to cauterize the wound, obviously, because it's hot. So there's not going to be blood flying across the screen, because it's a Disney game. So you're not going to have spines hanging out of stormtroopers. That would be kind of gross. But I think that they're looking. Now again, they've talked about combat. And the word Dark Souls comes out. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I am terrible at Dark Souls. I still buy them all. I bought Sekiro, and I'm terrible at it just the same. It's fine. It's okay. I know my limitations. But they're saying that the combat is going to be, you're going to have to learn the combat. And once you do, it's going to be enjoyable. But you can still play. It's going to be accessible to everyone. So that gives me the ideology that it's going to be Dark Souls light-esque, if you will, which you have to be a master of the lightsaber. You don't want to cut your own arm off, or that would be terrible in the game. But you know what? Let me just say this. Moving on to the next topic, and it's of course it's going to stay with the Disney theme, because as gamers, as people who consume content, we were having a conversation, Shannon and the rest of us, about how much content is readily available for us to devour. And this fall, there was another announcement, and again, it went under the radar. No other show was talking about it, so I thought it would be fitting for this show because obviously we don't want to be the same as everybody. We, I strive and pride myself in writing these scripts to be better and different than everybody. That's just the way I am. And I want to talk about the Disney+ streaming service. Now, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm not going to go into too much of the bottom part of the particulars. But what I want to immediately talk about is the Star Wars and Marvel content, because again, as video game fans, we like comics, we like graphic novels, we like the MCU, the DCEU, we like statues, and we and everything that goes along to being a fan. Usually if you like one, you probably at least like two or three of the others. It's just the way it works. Maybe because we're all nerds, I don't know, but I'm okay with that. They announced a bunch of Star Wars shows that were going to be available day one. And I think it's pretty interesting to talk about. First of all, the Mandalorian series looks absolutely incredible. And I'm going to read off the list of what's going to be available, and then we're going to discuss it. And then we're going to move into Marvel, because obviously that's a big topic with Endgame coming out next Friday. They announced that The Mandalorian is going to be a series, Rogue One prequel series, which sounds incredible, Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7, which I didn't expect to get, all of the Star Wars movies, and all of the Star Wars Rebels show, which, of course, are fantastic. Welsh, I want to get your opinion on this. First of all, Disney did something unexpected, in my opinion. They announced the price. And the price is $6.99 a month, which is literally you can collect cans and in an hour's time have enough to pay for the service if need be, or $69 for the year, which is the way I'm going to go. First of all, are you going to get this streaming service, and how excited are you for all of the Star Wars announcements?
No, this is cool, man. This is really cool. I will be there, definitely, even at the very least for the Falcon and Winter Soldier series that they're doing, because Captain America is my boy, but a close second is the Winter Soldier. I love the Winter Soldier. He's one of my favorite characters, and I look forward to seeing him have more screen time, because obviously he's always just been like a sidekick. Like, we've only ever seen a little bit of his stuff, so I'm interested to see that. It's great value though. All of that stuff for just $6.99 a month. That's really good. I'm very impressed. As it is Disney, I thought for sure that they would try to rip people off. But that is a lot of content. I mean, like, if you're a Marvel fan, you're sorted. And obviously Disney has Star Wars now, so you're going to get all the Star Wars movies dropping in there, as well as all the series they're doing. I remember them announcing at Comic-Con that they are bringing back the Clone Wars series and stuff.
Yeah, that's big. That's
big.
I
know, mate. That place exploded when they announced that, because I remember they were doing it when they did it before. They had to cancel it. Like, they didn't actually get to finish it. So I'm pretty sure they're just going to continue where they left off or something like that. That was a series I enjoyed. But no, phenomenal service. Not that it's Star Wars related now, but I'm very curious to see what they do with regards to Marvel, with regards to the Netflix shows. Like, I know you said that Hulu are probably going to grab it, but if they did land in this, as long as I can get my Punisher back and my Daredevil back, I'll be happy camper. But man, all in all, great value for money. If you're a Star Wars fan or a Marvel fan or both, this is good value for money. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, Zemi, obviously being a Star Wars fan, Welsh made mention of they could have easily charged $14.99 for the service, and I think people would have jumped all over it. I would have been a little hesitant because $15 a month, you start to, again, we all have subscription services to a lot of things. So, you add another $15 onto or what you're talking about, and some people will be over the $200 mark. $6.99, I think, is extremely reasonable. I mean, you take, for instance, now I'm not sure of how many people on this panel subscribe to the DC one. It's a little expensive and it's not doing well. I mean, the Titans series looks amazing. Doom Patrol looks fantastic. But they were filming Swamp Thing, and they had to they cut the show short by 3 episodes because they didn't have the money to finish, which is ridiculous. So you can see how overcharging your customer fan base is going to hurt you in the long run. And I think that what Marvel and DC, Marvel and the Disney are doing here by charging $6.99 a month instead of going for the maximum price of like maybe say 15, they're going to get a lot more subscriptions. From what you've read in the show notes and what you've seen on TV, how excited are you for what they're going to bring to the table?
My biggest concern whenever I first heard of Disney Plus was I was really concerned about them not adding enough adult content to warrant me actually buying it. But once I've started researching it and seeing all these other things that are coming out to it, that pretty much just got swept away from my mind. I think the $6.99 price point is just right on the money. I don't think I'm going to probably buy the year's worth, because with a lot of these services, I usually, I'll subscribe for a couple of months and then I'll, not subscribe for like the rest of the year, and then I'll come back later on that, that next year. But I think that the price is absolutely amazing, and it was definitely a good choice on Disney, because that is very, very well set to compete with Netflix and Hulu and all these other streaming services. I'm super excited about The Mandalorians. Like I cannot wait for that. A lot of the other Star Wars stuff that they already have on there, or they're adding, I've really already seen, or I'm just not really too interested in watching. But The Mandalorians look absolutely amazing. Also, on a side note, how amazing, because this is Disney, how amazing would it be if they came out with a Pirates of the Caribbean series?
You know what? That actually is. Without you saying that, I would have never thought about it. But that is actually a fantastic idea, because I really enjoyed just about every one of the films.
Yeah. Well, another thing too, though, is I know that HBO and I think Showtime maybe does this as well. But if you own the service, or if you own the channels with your TV provider, HBO, for instance, gives you free access to, I believe it's HBO Go. Do you guys think that Disney's going to do that, or is there any news about that?
No, I actually didn't read about that, where it'd be like a Disney on the go kind of a thing, but I would not be surprised. I mean, because I think it's going to be one of those applications that are going to be universal. If you would literally just have to sign into your account. The same way you would, let's say, for instance, you had Netflix on your TV in the bedroom, and you bought a new TV for your living room. You would just sign in, and your Netflix would be there. You're paying for the service, so I don't think they really care where you watch it. I just think that as long as you're paying for the service, it's probably going to be universal. It's an interesting thought, though, for sure. If I get any updates, I'll certainly hit you up either in the DM, or I'll bring it up on another show. But Shannon, I want to get your opinion on this. I understand you're not the biggest Star Wars fan. We're going to kind of touch on Marvel, in a second. But $6.99, I think Zemi really hit it on the head. Is the perfect price point, where it's not too cheap and it's not overly gross. Are you considering, even though you're not the biggest Star Wars fan, just for the Marvel content, would you consider buying the service?
When it comes to the Disney Plus service, obviously for the US it's coming this year, but for the UK it's coming next year for us. But
early next year, from what I understand.
Early next year. Now, but we need to know for the $6.99, is it HD? Is it 4K? We need to know more information. I'm not sure if that's out there yet. But as like what you just said, what's going to be in there is yes, I will be getting the service, because when it comes to the Marvel stuff, you got like the spin-off series, Falcon and Winter Soldier spin-off. You got a Loki one as well, and many others. And like I said, you get the movies as well, Disney kids movies as well. And it's amazing service, because it's catering for everyone, from adults and kids. And
from 2 to 60.
yeah. For that price is amazing. $69. I'm not sure what will it be in the UK, maybe £80 or something. But this is how they need to do it, Boom. Because look, you got Netflix, you got Amazon, you got Hulu, HBO in America as well, and them are big boys. So you got to come in with good content, with a good price, and that's how you get the customers to jump to your service. And hopefully they deliver. I just like to know, the $6.99, is it for the 4K service, or is it just HD or standard def like Netflix has?
Well, I mean, I would imagine it's going to be at least the HD. You're not going to get a 720p screen for $6.99. I can't say whether or not there's going to be a 4K option for like $9.99 per month. I personally don't need a 4K option. I don't know if I would pay the extra $3. I might, depending on how great of a picture it was. That wasn't actually discussed, but again, if I do get an update, I will talk about it. But Luke, I want to get your opinion on this. This to me, out of everything that we saw at Star Wars Celebration, Episode 9's trailer, the Respawn trailer for the game, I was really more excited about this information because of all of the new shows that we're going to be getting. What were your takes on what they announced for Star Wars? More specifically, are you going to be getting this service rather?
Yeah, I'll be getting the service. Actually, one of the things I just thought of that attracts me to the service, because this hasn't been available in the UK, but I think it was in the US, is that they're bringing all the episodes of The Simpsons to Disney+.
Yes,
and that's like, for me, I'd pay the $6.99 or whatever it would be in the UK just for that alone. So
wait, hold up. Sorry, I do not mean to cut you off, but is that legit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember because it's Fox as well, properties as well.
Yeah,
so
correct.
I just remember just now.
Recently acquired Fox.
Luke, you continue, my brother, but that is music to my.
Brother, carry on.
Exactly,
mate. That is music to my ears. Simpsons is the best ever.
Exactly. So even if it was just that, I would happily pay the monthly fee, because I could watch that, until the end of time. But the Star Wars shows, The Mandalorian in particular, looks fantastic.
It looks so good, dude.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest, I mean, I can't remember the last time we've had a gritty kind of, quote unquote realistic, dark Star Wars live action piece, apart from obviously the films. But The Mandalorian seems like it's even darker than stuff like Rogue One, etc. So really excited about that. And I think just the back catalogue of Star Wars, obviously all the Star Wars related media, but everything else that Disney has, it seems to have everything at the moment. For the price that they're asking, it'd just be really difficult not to get that subscription. It's not a large amount. It's cheaper than your Netflix subscription, and sometimes there are times when Netflix, that there's a dearth of content in there. And I mean, you compare $6.99 as well to Prime Video, which I don't know what that's like in the US, but in the UK, that's really poor. Like there's nothing on there.
Yeah, we get it free through Prime, and it's not the greatest. I mean, every now and again you do find a gem in there, but it's certain I wouldn't pay for the series.
No, exactly. Yeah, the benefit of that is essentially linked to the fact you have Amazon Prime delivery with it. So, I'm super excited, and I mean, Simpsons just great. Can't wait.
Yeah. Real quick before we talk about the of course the MCU part of this whole enigma, Axel 1324 in the chat is asking where's Shady, and the reason why he's not here today is because Shady is unfortunately dealing with some family related a particular family related situation. Nothing too dire. He will be back next week. Obviously I don't want to kind of I'll let him tell the story if he wants to when he comes back on. But of course, just send Shady well wishes, and he will be back on next week as normal. Obviously he is a regular panel member, but yes, he will be back. He just took this particular week off. But I want to kind of move into. Listen, I'm a Star Wars fan. I saw the first film in 1977. That's right, folks. My mom and dad took me to City Cinema in Co-op City in the Bronx, and I was my life was changed at 7 years old. And yes, I understand I'm an old guy. I get it. But again, I always say this. I am privileged to be able to say that I've been to every single Star Wars film release to date. And not many people can say that, and I can, so I'm very happy about that. But I want to talk about Marvel for a hot second. Obviously, Endgame is happening next week. And, it's obviously, it's so important that it's going to halt Breakfast with Boom. And I think I mentioned it many times before. I'll make an official announcement at the end of the show. There will be no Breakfast with Boom next week. because I'm going to have the awesome opportunity to hang out with my brother Neo Mental, and we're going to go see this film in the RPX Theater here in New Rochelle. We're looking forward to it. I don't get a chance to hang out with my brother, so it's going to be one of those things that we could look back 20 years from now and say, hey, remember when we went to see Endgame? Well, obviously the MCU is hot, and for good reasons. It's spawned over 20 plus films, and not all of them have been great, but they've been pretty damn good to tell a story. And with this service, they mentioned a bunch of names. One completely blew me away. Okay, the Loki prequel series is going to be interesting, and of course, it's going to star. Everyone that's in the MCU is going to be in this, which is why it's great. They have something called WandaVision, which is obviously Scarlet Witch and the Vision. And you talked about, I know somebody in the panel mentioned it once before, the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, which is going to be dope, and it's supposed to be like the second Captain America film, where it's going to be very spy-esque, related. The Hawkeye series, where I think they're going to have him portray Ronin, which is going to be awesome. And of course, you're getting all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films in there in one place for you to just go crazy. But that's not the most interesting part. There's a new series called What If? Now, I don't know. See, I'm getting goosebumps, folks. I don't know how many people read the What If comic back in the days. You have to be an old bastard like me to appreciate it. But there was a comic that Marvel put out, and there were what if stories. What if the Hulk killed the Wolverine? Or what if Wolverine killed the Hulk? And things of that nature. The fact they're going to be doing a series like that is just mind-blowing, to be honest with you. Welsh, I want to get your opinion on this. First of all original series coming to this service for the $6.99 on top of everything you're already getting, and you're going to get all the Marvel films in one spot. How crazy awesome is that?
Man, these Marvel things, man. I'm really. To be honest, when I remember hearing rumblings before, I was a little nervous because I was like, I love the movies, but will it work as a series? But now they've actually released a few, like the names and what they're going to be doing. I'm really excited. Like the Hawkeye series, I'm really looking forward to because I'm a huge fan of Arrow, the DC program.
Yes,
and that's finishing now. Like this is its last season. So it'd be cool to see Marvel have their own opportunity to bring a bow and arrow wielding person, and if they're going to be doing the whole Ronin thing as well, that's even cooler. I just shouted out the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. That is going to be amazing. I really hope that the story arc is telling the story of how Winter Soldier takes over the mantle of Captain America or something like that. I don't know. There's so much they can take from the comics, but I'm excited for that. WandaVision, I'll probably give it a whirl. I'm not a big fan of either of those characters, really, but I'll give it a look in. But the What If thing, Boom, is really cool. Here's just a few examples. They've got, like from the old school comics, what if Spider-Man joined Fantastic Four?
Yes.
What if the Secret Wars happened 25 years later? What if Spider-Man's parents destroyed his own family? What if Avengers had fought evil during the 1950s? I know they seem random, but what if Spider-Man was a woman? There's so many. What if Daredevil teamed up with Captain America? That's just the first few, but there are so many they can grab.
It was a fantastic series, dude. It really was.
Oh, mate, honestly, and they could do so much with it. This could be the Marvel equivalent to Black Mirror, where every episode is completely different. Every episode is a totally different story. No continuation. Just each episode is something totally different. One's about Spider-Man joining Fantastic Four. Another one's about Captain America if he could fly, or they could do 100 million ones. I'm excited for that. That really piques my interest, and it just adds to the value of this package, that I said before. But I'm very much looking forward to the Winter Soldier one. Man, Winter Soldier's my boy. But no, that's awesome, Boom. Really excited.
Yeah, well, real quick before I get to Yazemi, unscripted, my wife, who's sitting 10 feet away from me, drops an outstanding $20 super chat, says, good morning, everyone. Finally got a day off, yes, the poor thing, from work, so I can jump in and say hello. I hope everyone is doing well. And as always, thank you for supporting my dear Mr. Boom. Have a great day. And then, of course, thank you, Mrs. Boomstick, for the donation. And, of course, for the well wishes. Zemi, look, here's the thing, dude. We talked about price. We talked about Star Wars content. Now we're talking about Marvel content. And I'm going to be honest with you. The Marvel content, to me, in my opinion, has outpoked, if you will, what they're offering for the Star Wars content. I think as a whole, it's great. But I'm a big, I would tell, I may get booed for this. I don't know, but I would take Marvel over Star Wars, to be honest. And I really like what they're doing here. What are your takes on the series that were announced? Are you stoked even more now for the service?
You know, honestly, I think the likelihood of me getting booed off stage is a lot more than you, because I really do not like comic books.
Holy matrimony!
Like, superheroes and stuff. Like, I just fell out of it, you know? I mean, and then honestly, if I had to say what I'm more inclined to watch, it would be DC. I like Batman, and I like Batman.
Double my friend. That's
forgiven now.
You're in the penalty box.
I know. I just, like, everyone's so mad at me right now. But with that being said, I am happy that it's coming, you know, for all of you guys to enjoy. Even though, I mean, like, for me, I would rather watch Bambi than I would Spider-Man. I'm so sorry. I just don't want to lie.
Listen, dude. Listen. I'm going to be honest with you. That's what makes having you on the show fun. You're very different than, you know. You're not a cookie cut kind of a gamer. You don't like scary movies. You like this. That's all. It's okay to have an opinion. So never feel that you have to kind of curb your what you're going to say. Listen, it is what it is. But I appreciate the honesty.
I do have some good news for you, though, Zemi.
What's that?
Bambi, as well as many other classic Disney movies, are probably going to be dropping in this Disney+ service.
They are. It's been confirmed. All the Disney movies are.
While we're hitting up the Star Wars series and Marvel and up, you can just be there like, no, Bambi, no. Oh,
you know what really got me excited? No. Is I believe it was it Luke? He mentioned how Fox is apparently, like, I guess like part of Disney. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But if that's true, does that mean that the X-Files will be coming to the service as well? Because if so, I'm really into that. However, I like the X-Files scare me all the time, but there's just something so nice about it. Like Fox.
You know what? It's funny. I'm not sure how they're going to dole it out, because I know that they have a partnership with Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they actually own them, but I know that, like we talked earlier, Welsh mentioned it. The rated R Marvel shows will not be coming to this service because this is a family service. All of those series are supposedly going to continue on Hulu, which is awesome. Okay. So it may be something like the X-Files that might be a little bit more for kids, than, you know, that may be too much for the audience that Disney's looking to push this new streaming service on. It could possibly go to Hulu. I can actually see that happening. But rest assured, Disney is going to make money, and that series is going to end up somewhere. But you know what, Shan, I want to get your opinion on this, because obviously you are a Marvel fan. What are your opinions on the helpings that they're offering? And they did stress this is just the beginning of what they're going to be offering in regards to new original Marvel series.
Well, yeah, Boom. When it comes to the Marvel series, is at its highest peak now, because obviously Endgame's coming out next week, so everybody's like high on it. So when it comes to this Disney Channel service, it's just depends. Like I said, what they're showing now is promising. They've got the Winter Soldier spin off, the Loki one, the Star Wars one as well, what you mentioned before.
Yeah, they have the Hawkeye series. They have the What If series.
Yeah. So there's so many shows, and it's promising. And we've been promised before with services like it's gonna have this, it's gonna have that, even with games. But hopefully they deliver with all the content. And it is promising for all like superhero fans. Look, I'm a Marvel, and I'm a DC fan first, then a Marvel.
Okay.
But as a person, I just love superhero movies.
No matter what.
Yeah, nothing. If it's Marvel or DC, whatever. So hopefully they deliver on the network and put some great content out for everybody and anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. Luke, I want to get your final opinion on this, and we're going to move into the whole gaming part because we have a lot to talk about. How excited are you for the Marvel series that they talked about?
Yeah, really excited. I think for me, the Loki prequel series, that's kind of the one I'm most looking forward to. I think just the way Loki is in Marvel Comics, and particularly the way he's been portrayed in the films, such an interesting character. Definitely very mischievous. So really looking forward to that. And then, I mean, the what if? I have read a few of those comics before, and they're always really fun. And I think what's good about that series in particular is there's no kind of finite end to that.
Right.
So
Yes.
with obviously a Loki show, you can only drag those on for so long. They have to end at some point. With that, you can just, I think it was Welsh who was saying, Black Mirror-esque, you can just drop those and you can do whatever you like as long as it's a good idea. And you can just keep doing that forever if you'd like. So I think that's going to be a really interesting one. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the service as a whole. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it, and I think that it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big success just because of the amount of content. It's just something for everyone, and that's $7 a month. And I like how it's not $7; it's $6.99. So you think $6? They know what they're doing. They're billionaires. But let's move on to the next topic, folks. And of course, it's a big one. Next week, Mortal Kombat 11 launches, and in one of the recent Combat Cast episodes, they talked about letting players buy cosmetics with real money. And of course, there are some naysayers out there the minute here. Oh my God, DLC or microtransactions, they're evil. But the problem why I have zero issues with this is because NetherRealm Studios is not forcing anyone to buy these. Everything can be earned in game. While on this Combat Cast, producer Sean Hemrick revealed that the new in-game currency is called Time Crystals. This currency can be earned, of course, through playing the game, which is what we're going to all do. But Time Crystals will be available for purchase using your cash if you want. And because this is just cosmetics, to make whatever scorpion you want to make, whatever katana you want to make, you can do. It does not affect your actual gameplay. It's simply cosmetics. I want to know if you have any concerns with this, and I'll start with Welsh. Obviously, this generation has proven one thing. According to the mass media and certain, high-profile YouTubers, DLC and microtransactions are evil, and I don't think so. What are your thoughts on it?
Right. Having considered your question, because I read through it and I gave it a good thought, because this is a touchy subject. I think the whole microtransaction thing, and it's something that you really need to consider. But this is my take on this as a whole, just in principle, as I haven't played Mortal Kombat for a very long time. So okay. I'm just gonna answer this question on principle. I have zero issue with games allowing you to use in-game currency or even real money when it's to buy cosmetics only. That is something I truly welcome to just about any game, Boom. Although it would be cool if most games did limit certain legendary items.
Okay, I can see that.
Behind difficult achievements. That'd be cool. I'd love it if certain items were locked behind really difficult achievements as a trophy item to show off. So you could be
so you're saying if you ripped off 777 spines, you get this helmet.
Yeah. So basically, if you go online and you come across someone who's got the limited helmet, you'll be like, man, that kid's obviously good. And altogether, Boom, I've got no issues when it comes to the cosmetics. The only thing that was a red flag for me within your question was the purchase of easy fatalities. That feature, in my opinion, should be limited to the currency you earn actually playing the game. Because let's just put a scenario out there, right? Say Richie Rich decides he's going to use Daddy's credit cards to buy 1,000 easy fatalities. like, let's be honest. Sure, I mean, again, correct me because I'm not a big proponent of Mortal Kombat. I don't know the game, but surely that's going to put Richie Rich in, at an advantage when playing online.
I don't know if the easy fatalities work online. That was not discussed, and I would imagine that might be something that you'd actually. It seems because they've been doing this for so long, it's a proper question to say the least.
Yeah, well,
but
if that's the case, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Boom. Go on.
What I was going to say, and I just want to answer your question because actually it's a really good one. Yeah, sure. If Richie Rich, who burns money as he lights his fireplace, it can buy a gazillion of these crystals and get the easy fatalities. I mean, listen, the fatalities do. Again, I understand where you're coming from. To be honest with you, I could care less simply because the fatality at the end of the game is or is not going to happen. It's not going to matter to me, honestly. If I'm on the losing end of the fatality, I'm dead already. It doesn't matter whether I just fall over like a schlump or I get my spine ripped out and it's something epic to watch. But I do see your point of view. It does make sense, and that was not described.
No, that's fair enough. Like I said, just answering on principle, I'm all about cosmetics. But if there's any form, in any way, shape, or form, a way of paying to essentially win or just help your chances of winning, that's obviously a big red flag.
That would be a big red flag and a no from me as well.
Yeah. That's all I can really say. Maybe I've missed the mark somewhere, as I'm not a big player of Mortal Kombat. But those are my initial thoughts. Absolutely for it. But if they do in fact have a system in place where it will allow Richie Rich to buy unlimited supply of easy fatalities, which could put him at an advantage if it's allowed online as well. I can't see that being very fair. But then if people are happy about that, then happy days. But no, I think it's cool that you can actually buy and create and customize your character with cosmetics. That's always a good thing, Boom. That's always cool.
Yeah, it's always good to make your character look different, and that's what I'm excited for it. Zemi, I want to get your opinion on this. I don't know if you're going to play Mortal Kombat. It is a little scary, but more importantly, the real issue here is whether or not you, as a gamer, see a problem with someone wanting to not spend 600 hours playing a particular game to get a particular item and just buying it outright because they're such a fan of the character. They love Sub-Zero and they want their character to look like the original. But the way to do that is to play 600 hours, or you can buy these crystals with real world money and just unlock it that way. Do you have a problem with that ideology, or do you think that microtransactions are in fact evil?
I mean, I think microtransactions have a absolutely horrible rap, and I think in some ways it's definitely justly due. I think way too many companies rely on these microtransactions whenever they really don't need it. But overall, I don't really have a problem with it so long as it's cosmetic. Like Welsh said, I kind of wish that they added, collectibles in the game that, or outfits in the game that you get whenever you unlock certain challenges. That used to be the way that, you always got the cool stuff, the cool stuff in the games. And it seems like, every single year we're transitioning away from that and more to microtransactions. But I don't have any problem with it. The only concern that I have is they did mention how the crystals in game will be able to be earned in game. My only concern is how easily will it be for you to actually, earn that currency.
That's a good point.
Because if it's almost near impossible, kind of like the way that, in a way Anthem is after you beat the game, it's really, really hard to get those coins to just buy it with in-game money, then I definitely think that there might be a huge problem there for the fan base.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. How hard it's going to be to actually make these crystals. It might be simply just winning a match, play the towers, and you may unlock crystals each and every time you play. Listen, again, I trust Ed Boon. I like what he's done, where he's taken the company and what he's done in regards to the microtransaction thing. I think that the integrity of the game is important to NetherRealm and to him more specifically. So I think it's going to be fairly done. I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt simply because, well, I mean, this is the 11th Mortal Kombat. If anyone was tired of their so-called shady practices, they would have not made it past, 3, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
so
they're a smart company, and I mean, this is probably their most profitable franchise.
Oh,
why,
for sure.
Why would they want to burn it?
It makes perfect sense. Shan, I want to get your opinion on this, dude. Cosmetic gear is in its very nature is simply just cosmetic. It's not going to affect me beating you up, or you beating me up, or you taking my spine out and playing the violin. It's not going to matter. But it does make the game better for some people because they are fans of the characters and they want to dress them the way that they want to be for everyone else to see them. I do agree with Welsh where he said that it should be some armor pieces should be attainable by getting certain achievements. That actually sounds cool, and I would not be surprised if in fact that is true. But do you have an issue at all with spending money on on cosmetics to make your character look the way you want?
No, Boom, I don't have an issue with that. As long as it doesn't give you advantage. I know when it comes to microtransaction, that word, it puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And I believe it was Star Wars Battlefront. That's where it came from EA. But hopefully Ed Boon, he does a good job. And this is his 11th game now when it comes to the MK series. So I don't have a problem with the cosmetic. And like Welsh, the London Gamer just said before. No, what you said, like.
We were actually going to do that in the opening, but you came a little late, so I couldn't do it. But welcome,
No.
London Gamer.
Amazing. I love it.
No, what he said before, like there should be levels, like certain armor. Say like you played like 10 hours of it, you got to level 10. That set of armor should be available. You could buy it at that level. That sounds like a fair price. Like you pay for it, but you work in the game, you play in the game. As you progress in, if you want to spend money on a hat or some type of suit or something, you can get this type of suit on this level. So the more progress you do, the more you can the more suits you can get. So I don't have a problem with that, and hopefully he does a good job on it, and people will love the game.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they handle it. Obviously, it's gonna be done with kid gloves, and I think I trust Ed Boon and I trust NetherRealm to maintain the integrity of what makes a Mortal Kombat game great. Luke, I want to get your final opinion on this. Obviously, the fatalities are gortastic, right? We know that you can make an easy mode for that, which I can honestly care less. But if you spent more money than me and your character had better stats, that would be a problem, and of course would damage the integrity of the actual fighting game. The fact that it's only being used for to buy armor pieces and make your character look the way you want. Do you have an issue with that?
Generally, no. I don't. So I don't have a problem with microtransactions in general, so long as they aren't pay to win, obviously. The only concerns I have, which I think the rest of the panel has kind of mentioned, are I really don't like cosmetic microtransactions where, even though they can be earned in game, clearly the odds of you being able to earn those of those cosmetics are quite low, and so kind of cognitively you're more kind of funneled towards actually
you're more prone to spend the money.
Yeah, exactly. Because that is, and I mean, this happens. This is deliberate. Publishers especially have people come in and create these models so that people are more inclined to spend money. And I don't particularly like that element, but as long as that is just cosmetic, then I'm not as concerned by it, because some games, I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey was a good example of this, had actually some really good microtransactions that you could have, but you never felt like you needed to have any of them, because you really could earn everything that you wanted, even if it was just cosmetic from just playing the game and enjoying it. So yeah, in principle, I don't have a problem with it. As long as it's not too difficult to earn stuff in game.
All right, I mean that makes perfect sense. Again, with microtransactions, I mean I've never been inclined, to buy something outright, but I've purchased like stuff in Assassin's Creed, Odyssey, and Origins, and I had no problem. I dropped $20. It's okay because I'm a big fan of the game, so I wanted a particular horse or something. Because I'm an old school cat, so of course I like the original Clash of the Titans. So when that Pegasus was available with the armor that looked like it was right out of the movie, well, guess what? I bought it because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to buy it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that's the perfect way. Yeah, if you like something and you don't have to buy, you can earn it. But like I said, you liked it, boom. It doesn't affect gameplay, whatever. You like the horse, and let's say you bought it with your own money.
Yep.
I think that I should know. I think it's better having a system where you can outright buy an item that you want rather than something like
a loot box.
A loot box system. Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah, loot boxes are evil for sure. It's also gambling.
Sorry, Luke. I don't see that happening now with future games. I think they're gonna stop the loot boxes now.
Yeah, it's pretty much a done deal, and they kind of dug their own grave with that.
Yeah, it's the one good thing that EA did with the FIFA franchise, because it was because of the FIFA Ultimate Team that they've done like loads of investigations on kids and the percentage of how many kids go on to gamble because of Ultimate Team on FIFA, and it's like because of that they've really clamped down now. So I'm for that as well. Like if you see an item you like, whether it's Halo, Gears, COD, or there's a helmet you want, a shoulder pad you want, you should be able to outright buy it, opposed to like we all just agreed, gambling, basically pulling on the slot machine and being like, oh, I hope I get that helmet, and it's like you get a bloody pair of socks instead. You're like, God, I'm gonna put another $10 on there. That I am feeling lucky.
Yeah, it's definitely bad. But guys, we already are an hour through the show, and I got a funny feeling the show is going to run a little longer because we're only in topic 2. Well, technically topic 3, but I kind of want to just talk about this real quick. Keeping with Mortal Kombat, in a recent 166 rapid fire question interview with Ed Boon, he revealed some behind the scenes details regarding some pretty interesting talk. This surprising admission came towards the end of an interview with Game Informer's Ben Hansen, who asked Boon whether he's ever had a conversation with Marvel about making a fighting game. After hearing the question, Boon's eyes, not Boom, but Boon's eyes lit up and admitted he had. And though he didn't reveal when or if the two companies were still in contact regarding the new game, he did tip his hand a bit when he answered, and this is what he had to say. He did, in fact, have talks with Marvel, though he was very coy about what he could say. Now, in the past, let me see. I'm looking at my show notes here. It's pretty interesting to say that he talked with Marvel, but we know that he also has a history with DC because there was a DC versus Mortal Kombat. Here's my question to the panel. We'll keep this short and sweet so we can move on to the next topic. With this huge revelation of the fact that he did, in fact, and could possibly still be talking to Marvel, having DC, which is, of course, WB, who also publishes, Mortal Kombat, could you imagine a Marvel versus DC fighting game with the Mortal Kombat engine? The possibilities are limitless. The roster count could be 25 on each side, and it would be amazing. Welsh, what are your takes on this, dude?
Man, let's be fair, right? This would be dope. Honestly, how could anyone feel any differently? Like, whether this happens or not, if it can even happen in a legal sense with copyright issues and stuff, will remain to be seen. But nobody can say that this would not be a good idea. Me personally, Boom, I've said it before. I've said it on the Xbox Factor. I'm not even like the biggest fighter fan. I haven't been for years. I used to play them back in the day on a Super Nintendo, but not really since then. I might have a dabble in Killer Instinct from time to time with some of my friends from America, but that's really about it. But with that said, if they brought out a Marvel versus DC fighter game, I would be getting that day one, and that says a lot for me because I have not got excited or even thought about buying a fighter for years now, like literally years. So that would really pique my interest. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely it would sell copies, to say the least. Zemi, I want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, Marvel versus DC happened in the comic. We know that the story that was written for Injustice 1 and 2 were phenomenal for a NetherRealm's DC fighting game. They've set benchmarks in the fighting game universe with graphics and style and different finishers and enders that weren't fatalities, but were what you would see in a comic book. But what the potential for a Marvel versus DC fighting game based on the MK engine would be just phenomenal. What are your takes on this?
Yeah, I mean, as I've said on the show multiple times, I'm not the biggest fighting game fan, and as everyone now knows, I put Bambi above Spider-Man. So as you can imagine, like, this news really does nothing for me personally. But I am not, I'm enough well educated to know that this is extremely huge news, and if this comes true, this quite possibly might be the biggest, most best-selling fighter game that's ever released.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's a great point. It would sell. Yes, sir.
I think we need to get Zemi on the phone to these guys and get them to make a Bambi versus Lion King or something like that.
That actually might work. That probably sell to the kids, for sure.
Get Thumper and Simba on the bloody battlefield fighting one another.
Right. That's awesome.
I'd buy it then.
He would, yeah. See that you got a sale right there. Good for you. Good on you, man.
You'll get the collector edition.
Nice. Shan, I want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, you're a DC guy first before Marvel. That's okay. But to have them both in the same game, and again, I say 25. I mean, again, I'm not talking to Ed Boon. I'd like to if he wants to do an interview, but a 25 roster for each, which would be easy to do. How incredible would that be on the new MK engine they're running for MK11?
It'll be incredible, Boom. Like, when it comes to fighters, Boom, now, like, my favorite fighter is Tekken, but you gotta give it to the MK series and Injustice series. They're just taking it into a different level, and these guys can make a fighting game with great graphics and great gameplay as well. So when it comes to the Marvel and DC, that would be crazy. So many fans from everywhere, from the left, right, centers, will be buying this game, and they could put a really, really good story into this game as well, Boom. So a lot of potential with this game, a lot of potential, and I won't be surprised if it happens. I'll be honest with you, because we had crossovers before.
Oh, sure.
That's Street Fighter versus the Marvel. When I was young,
yeah, Tekken versus Street Fighter.
Yeah, I used to play them when my dad used to have a snooker club, and I used to play these games then, and they were great crossovers. So hopefully this happens.
I could see the potential. NASCAR Allo in the chat says Superman versus Hulk. Yeah, that would be epic.
That'd be epic.
But your TV might break. I'm just saying. But Luke, I want to get your final point on this. First of all, in this interview, it seemed as if Ed Boon was tiptoeing through a legal minefield and admitted he probably shouldn't talk about it. That sentence pretty much says that there might be something in the works. Would you like to see this happen? And what are your feelings on what he had to say closing out the interview?
I'd love to see it happen. I think it's it is telling that he was very light-tipped about it, because I think if there's no substance to it ever happening, you'd just kind of probably brush it off or say,
yeah, you'd be like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah,
no, on to question 167.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there was some hesitation there from him. So, even if that means that they're having discussions and that there might be a potential down the road for that to happen, because that is a huge deal as a crossover. I mean, the logistics of it actually happening are quite substantial. But if it can happen anywhere, it's actually probably more likely to happen in video games than it is in the film scene, where there's seemingly more at stake.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and they took big bucks.
Yeah, so I'd love it in the Mortal Kombat engine, especially. And I think the exciting thing about that would be actually the single player, the story element of it, because both Injustice games had great stories, and the Mortal Kombat games had really great stories as well, especially for fighting games where you just don't expect that. So, you know, having all those cast of characters in there would be really good.
It would be epic. And I agree with, I'm not sure who said it'd be the biggest fighter. It certainly would sell the most copies in the history of fighting games. But let's move on to the next topic. And, you know, this one's a big one. In a bombshell article that I pulled from Eurogamer, Sleuth, Jason Schreier of Kotaku fame, has broken another damning story. And this time, he has Sony in his crosshairs. The tagline for Sony's marketing since 2013, as we all know, has been for the players. And though some Sony extremists may be damage controlling this damning story, it's wrong and it makes me sick, to be honest. Jason Schreier has reported that Sony stopped Bungie's plans to add cross-play character transfers to Destiny 2. Schreier made this claim in a recent episode of the Split Screen podcast, and according to the article, it says skip around to the 57-minute mark if you want to get straight to the topic. And of course, this is thanks to Reset Era. In a discussion about how Destiny 2 will fare following Bungie's separation from longtime publisher partner Activision, Schreier started talking about while Bungie had been thinking about doing this character transfer, it was stopped cold in its tracks. And this is what he had to say. I heard that Bungie wanted to do a character transfer for PS4 to PC before the update for Forsaken came out, but Sony wouldn't allow it, Schreier said. Sony is just like, we want people to associate Destiny with PS4, even if that means screwing over other players. Well, here's the thing, guys. I'm actually not honestly surprised by this attitude from Sony. They have been very cutthroat. I mean, I applaud their marketing. I've said that publicly on how they market. I'm not talking about these backdoor deals. I'm not a fan of that. I think it's disgusting. This is also, though, not the first time they've been singled out for fighting the whole cross-play party thing. And of course, a couple of years ago, it was Rocket League. Then it was Minecraft, highlighting the issue, and Sony wouldn't budge. And though why this story is even more damning is Sony boss Sean Layden, who I really dig the dude, told Eurogamer last year that the company was actively looking at a lot of the possibilities to allow crossplay. And of course, just a month later, the crossplay beta finally came to Fortnite. I don't think they had a choice in that. I think they literally were strong-armed to doing it because of Fortnite's success. Panel, I have to, we have to talk about this. This is big. Welsh, this is another blockbuster story from Schreier. And obviously it puts a tremendous negative light on Sony. And again, I say this all the time, coming off a canceled PSX, a no-show at Paris Games Week, a no-show at Gamescom, the departure from E3 2019. It's looking pretty bad for the market leader. What are your thoughts on this very damning story?
Like you, Boom, I'm not surprised at this information coming to the forefront one iota. Don't get me wrong, and I'm with you again, Boom. Sony deserves a medal the size of a dinner plate for their incredible marketing, the unit sales they've achieved, and generally for all the milestones they have achieved this generation, giving gaming an even bigger name and presence in the world today. I will say that until I am blue in the face, Boom. But for heaven's sake, all of that good, positive stuff I just mentioned, for me,
gets overshadowed.
Exactly. It gets overshadowed by their arrogance and their ego. Like all of that good and positive influence on the gaming industry wasted as you just look like a bunch of arrogant bastards. Honestly, what more can anyone say about it? Love or hate Sony. I'm not here to hate on them, but whether you're a lover or a hater, they have done an outstanding job this generation, but just call it as it is. This is the same Sony that denied crossplay over and over, the same Sony that decided that its community didn't need backwards compatibility or EA access. That's just a couple that come to my head. I've probably missed, I've most definitely missed more examples of their anti-gamer ways. But let's face it, they have never been a consumer-friendly company, so this information just doesn't surprise me at all. It is a shame. Hopefully, going into a new gen, things might change, but these backwards ways of basically bottlenecking people to only use like your platform is so behind the times. Like, cross-play and being able to play on multiple systems, is what Google Stadia is doing. Xbox is moving into that territory, and PlayStation are just stuck in their old arrogant ways, just like, nope, it's not happening. Nope. It's man, just not surprised at all, Boom. I don't know what else I can say.
Yeah, real quick before I get to Zemi, DJ Singh says something really interesting in the chat. He says each generation repeats itself. Arrogance inflates egos equals downfall. We've seen that with the PS3 era. We've seen that with the Xbox One era. It's the more you hear about this, it's possible. But Zemi, I want to get your opinion on this, dude. With all the great things Sony has done, and they've done quite a few real crowning achievements, the word anti-consumer continuously comes up with this company. You don't hear that about Microsoft. You don't hear that about Nintendo, but you constantly hear that about Sony. And this story pretty much is the exclamation point on that fact. What are your takeaways from this very damning story from Jason Schreier?
Oh, I absolutely hate this. I mean, it's just stories like these that just keep coming out month after month that just prove that Sony is still stuck in their old dumb ways. I mean, Xbox is open to crossplay. Nintendo, I mean, like, who would have thought, Nintendo would be open to crossplay, right? PC has pretty much always been open to crossplay, and Sony just keeps shutting it down. A few months ago, they issued a statement stating that if any developer wants to add crossplay multiplayer to their games, all they need to do is contact their PlayStation manager and to get the ball rolling. And immediately after PlayStation released that statement, a company called Chucklefish, I believe, came out and basically said, well, that's not how it worked for us, and then we've heard so many more of these stories that have just came out. And then let's just be honest. I mean, what Bungie is asking for here isn't even crossplay. It's just character transfers, which is something that I really wanted, back in Destiny 1, because I played most of Destiny 1 on a PlayStation 4, and then I came over to Xbox again, and I wanted to transfer my character, and lo and behold, it wasn't a thing. I mean, I just don't understand why Sony is doing this, why they just continually hurt themselves. I just think it's a lot of arrogance. I think that they think that their console's the best, and I think it's going to, possibly, stand the chance of killing them this upcoming generation, because, all these companies are happy to work together. Xbox, Nintendo, PC gaming isn't really a company, but, it's more.
I know what you mean. It's still an entity, though.
Exactly. Right. Honestly, I would love to see Bungie separate from PlayStation. We've already seen that they don't care. They'll do it if you make them bad. If you make them bad enough, they'll leave you. They already did that with Activision. Right. I don't know if they're going to necessarily walk over to Xbox and say, hey, let's go for a partnership. But I would actually really like to see that. I would love to see Bungie separate from PlayStation, come over to Xbox, not as an actual not as an actual studio underneath them. I don't want to see
just to
that.
work with them like they did with Sony.
Exactly. I want to see them having that marketing partnership, and because I'm pretty positive if Bungie called up Xbox and was like, "Hey, will you allow character transfer?" They'd probably we would allow full crossplay. What are you talking about? Of course we would. Because we're not a dumb company.
Right. No, that's a really great point. Excellent, really well detailed. Shen, obviously, you're not anti-Sony, but you do call them out on a regular basis. Your memes that you come up with are legendary. They get a lot of hits. They do make me chuckle literally out loud. Like when I see some of your stuff, I laugh out loud because it is funny, but this story is not funny. This story is gross and it's nauseating, and it's a typical Sony move. And like it has been discussed, hurting themselves seems to be something that they do on a regular basis. We've seen this in the past. DJ Singh mentioned it. What are your takes on this story? And obviously, you know, because it's coming from Jason Schreier, there's evidence and there's proof behind it. And again, he does talk from facts, and he is one of the sleuths of the industry.
Yeah, first of all, Boom, I just want to give credit to Jason. He's put some great work out lately. You know, it's got some good stories out there. So, when it comes to this, Boom, it's a shame though, because like you got Zemi and such as yourself as well, like playing games like Destiny, putting thousand hours in, and who wouldn't want to like transfer the characters to the PC or the Xbox? But this is Sony. Sony's always been like this, and let's be honest, Boom. Sony, if Sony wanted to keep what it is with Sony, they want to keep everything on their console. And when it comes to the casual, they can get away with it. Sony gets away with plenty of stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's only the hardcore, us guys on Twitter and who follow, certain people who sees this, but the casuals, they don't see this, and Sony just wants everything on their platform. It would be amazing cross-play, cross
progression. I think is the most understated term this generation. Cross play is great. That's fine.
Yeah,
but that's to me is secondary to cross progression because of exactly what Zemi said. He was a Destiny 1 player on PlayStation. Spent hours, could be 100 hours. I don't know. Could be 300 hours. But after spending that much time on a particular console, it would be pretty cool to double dip, which a lot of people would do, would mean more sales for the company of the game, would to be, okay, I'm going to just transfer my stats from this box to this box and go play and enjoy myself.
Yeah, of course. It'll be so much easier, and maybe next generation it might change a bit. Depends how the console sales goes, how they start off, if Sony starts off good again, or, it just depends, I say, next generation. Hopefully they change their practices when it comes to like cross-play, cross-progression, and many other things as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously change has to happen. I think the consumer has to speak up. The Sony consumer has to say, you know what? We love your single-player games. We love our hardware. We love you, Sony, but this is enough. We want better. Luke, let's close out this topic with your opinion on this. Is this a gross way of being, and how come how come there aren't a lot more people, especially, and this is where it gets, I want your opinion on this. I'm talking about this, several YouTubers that I know were talking about this, but the media wasn't really talking about this. If this had been Xbox, and again, this is not a we versus them thing. This is a reality thing. If this would have been Microsoft in the crosshairs, it would have been talked about till the cows come home. First of all, what's your opinion on it? How come the media seem to have brushed it off?
My opinion on it is that I do think it's wrong. I'm not quite sure. Well, I mean, I don't think it's arrogance necessarily from Sony. I just think they have a very old-fashioned attitude in regards to competitors, and I think they kind of, to me, sometimes seem like they see the gaming world as a bit of a kind of a non-infinite resource, and that you have to grab everyone you can. And you can't let them go anywhere else because then they're gone forever. And obviously that's not the way today's gaming world works. And they have shown some willingness to change, I think mainly because of pressures from consumers, and particularly because Microsoft are being and this is out of character for Microsoft because historically they have never been hugely pro-consumer, but certainly within the last few years of Xbox, they've been fantastic and they've made significant changes as to how they treat their consumers. But I just feel like Sony are very old-fashioned. I think actually it hurts them in other ways, because, for example, for me, so I play Destiny 2 on PC, and I went to go and pick up a console version, and it just so happens my PC is near my PS4 Pro, and it was on sale, and I thought, I'll pick it up on PS4 because it was on sale, and obviously without the cross character, I don't really want to start another character and build it again. So that's kind of a sale that they've lost that they could have had.
Great point.
If if they had cross progression. And as people have said, cross progression is a completely different thing to cross platform play. I can see why some companies are reluctant to do cross-platform play, but I don't really see how there's any harm at all in allowing you to take a character from one area, from one platform, and to put it on another and just play that game there. Because, if Sony, if Sony have sold, or if Destiny's sold, 5 million copies on PlayStation, and 5 million of those players want to take their character over to another platform, what does it matter? You've already made the sale. They've already bought the PlayStation version, so maybe some microtransactions happen elsewhere from you. But I really don't understand it. And I mean, in terms of the media stuff, I think I think almost sometimes the media just kind of accept it, and it's like, well, this is just the way the Sony are, so there's no point kind of talking about it more. But I think it has to happen more frequently, and stuff like this has to be flagged up when it comes out into the public, so that they do fully change this practice, because I don't think it's right.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. A great point about the lost sale. I think that's understated. More people would be open to buying an additional copy of said game for a different console if they can go back and forth. Yeah. And I think, again, that the lost sale needs to be brought into the forefront. And I'm actually surprised, because Sony is such a greedy company, that they wouldn't be on board with this immediately.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing, Boom?
Yeah, sure.
On the back of what everyone's saying. Like, I was having a chat with Dingo Empire in the chat, a great supporter. Shout out to him.
Yes.
But it just brought a point to mind that I just wanted to share, that I typed up in the chat but wanted to share with the panel. And it's quite simple, and this is completely with regards to gaming in general and most mediums, but obviously we're talking Sony. But like, the thing is, it boils down to this: like, time moves even if you don't.
Yes, so, great point.
Regardless of how successful Sony has been, they need to stick with the times, or people will move and look elsewhere. That isn't my opinion. That's just fact. Otherwise people would still be living in caves, drawing bloody stick men on the walls and huddling round a fire with woolly mammoth skin as clothes. Like, you've got to move forward. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, time moves even if you don't. So Sony can plant their feet and be stubborn, but time's going to keep moving, and people will move with the times. So I just wanted to sum up by saying that.
That's only time will tell. That's it. Only time will tell.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Whether or not it hurts them, whether or not their fan base cries foul, we'll know when the next generation starts. But let's move on to the next topic. First of all, I know there are a lot of people on this panel, a lot of people in this chat are really looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077. And if you are, then I have a story for you. I have actually some release date news and more proof that CD Projekt Red is planning a 2019 launch, and that the story developer is getting serious as the game's release date creeps closer. And when I read this, obviously my hype level exploded, because I think that whatever year this game comes out, it's going to, of course, be Game of the Year. It's going to be a monster game from an incredible smaller company that knows how to treat their fans. Now, in a story that I pulled from Express.com, they're claiming Cyberpunk 2077 is looking increasingly likely to launch in 2019. And here's the fresh evidence that has emerged. CD Projekt Red is gearing up for an imminent launch. And how do we know this? Well, according to a job listing, the successful candidate will be responsible for liaison with publishing partners for organization submissions to console manufacturers. This is what it's asking for. We're looking for a quality-focused, well-organized release manager to support us on our current and upcoming projects and to take part in a coordination of global product releases, reads the CD Projekt Red job ad. As a release manager, you will cooperate and communicate with all stakeholders from the CD Projekt Red team involved in the release and take active part in organizing the entire process. It includes submissions for first-party console manufacturers, overseeing compliance and certification processing, and will work with partners on publishing and process on multiple platforms. The job ad would certainly suggest, again, this is my opinion, but this is also the opinion of a very popular publication, that they're looking to start getting ready for maybe a fall release. I mean, we are 6 months away from the big part of the year when all these games come out. Welsh Gamer, first of all, this is breaking news from Express.com, and this is evidence to prove. And I've been saying this. I thought CD Projekt Red was going to be. We know they're going to be there at E3. We have a suspicion they're going to have a big part of Microsoft's stage, because they're not going to have their own conference. They've already talked about a release date and some big information. This is all starting to point at a 2019 release. How excited are you for Cyberpunk 2077?
Right, let's just be fair. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be huge. That is a given. Xbox has the marketing deal with them, and if at E3 2019 on the Xbox stage they drop the release date for 2019, like, that would be spectacular. That would be a phenomenal thing to do on that stage. And if this is indeed happening, like let's just pretend for 1 second that this is what is going to happen. I think Xbox should go that extra mile and do a custom console bundle with a release date announcement on the E3 stage, because that would be the icing on the cake. Like, people would literally lose their minds. But in any case, even if Xbox in fact waste yet another opportunity to market a limited edition custom console bundle for Cyberpunk, at the very least, a release date for 2019 at E3 would still raise the roof. Loads of people are hyped for this game. I'll be honest, I've had trouble up until this point, getting hyped for Cyberpunk myself. For the only reason being, it's not that I don't like the look of it. I'm not saying it looks garbage or anything, but I am, hands up guys, I am a bit of a Witcher fanboy. But
Me too.
Honestly, I can't help it, man. I'm Witcher. So when I see CG Projekt Red doing a different game, I'm like, say what? But end of the day, I am open for being wowed. If they blow me away at E3 with some fresh new gameplay, a 2019 release, and to top it off, a custom console to match.
They have to, dude.
Mate, Boom, how many times have we had this conversation? I think that would be enough to make me a believer and finally get me hyped to Witcher 3 levels for this game. So with that said, imagine how, all the people who have been excited for Cyberpunk since it was announced, imagine how excited they would be if it would be enough to get me hyped, who hasn't been that hyped for it so far. It would be epic, Boom. Irregardless of how I feel about the game, though, on a standpoint of principle, like, this game is going to be massive. CD Projekt Red is a huge developer. This is a huge deal for Microsoft with the marketing. They need to clamp down and make a presence on that stage. And I think the best way to do it is a console bundle, a limited edition console. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what they show us on the stage, Boom. It's going to be impressive. But a 2019 release, that would be huge.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be amazing. Real quick before I get to you, Zemi, JD Gamer, who is an outstanding supporter of the show, drops an incredible $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that. He says Sony is arrogant as they have ever been back to the PS3 days. Get a second job type arrogance, and that's the truth. They have been very arrogant. The media simply refuses to bite the hand that feeds it. By the way, great show. Well, first of all, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And really thank you for the outstanding $10 super chat. That is really generous of you. Zemi, I have to just drop another piece of detective skill information. Territory Studio, who worked on the logo for Cyberpunk 2077, said that it had a 2019 release date, and the post that was up has now been deleted. And this comes to us via Reddit. All of this evidence, does this kind of point to a release in 2019? Are you taking what I'm selling?
You know, I really wish I was taking what you're selling, but I don't think it's going to come out in 2019. I really don't. I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong. Everyone, I hope I am absolutely wrong, but I don't think it's going to come out in 2019. Main reason being is I think that they were probably planning on bringing it out like this summer or like possibly in May. And CD Projekt Red is just a company that is so good at what they do. They release, done games. They release actually well-crafted games, and they're not a company that is shy of pushing back the release date. We've seen them, during Witcher 3, they pushed back the release date by 3 months so that they could make sure that the game was as well polished and what people were expecting from them. And to also add that in is CD Projekt Red, their games usually come out in May. The Witcher 2 came out in May. The Witcher 3 came out in May. They usually like a nice, in the middle of the year release date. It doesn't really look like they usually like to release in fall because of all the competition. So I think it's probably more likely to say that we're not going to see Cyberpunk 2020 or 2027 or 2077. Third time's the charm. Got it right that time.
That's okay.
I don't think we're going to see that game until 2020 during spring, or more likely probably summer.
Okay.
I think that's when we're going to see it. But I really hope I'm wrong, because this game is just my bread and butter. It's an RPG. It has gore. It has nudity. It has blood. It has sandbox environments. I was watching gameplay. They were shooting walls, and pieces of concrete were flying all over the place. And then, it's the developer that made Witcher 3, so count me in. I'm absolutely pumped for this game. I hope it comes out in this fall, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, Zemi. Sorry, Zemi.
No, I get to you. I'm coming to you right now, Shan. You can say your point. Real quick, Shan. First of all, there's a potential. E3 is already going to be big for Microsoft because the spotlight is on them. We are all aware of that. That is not a revelation that we're doing on this show today. We know what it's going to be for Microsoft. We know how big it's going to be for Microsoft. But with all of that said, CD Projekt Red is the darling developer of this generation simply because of what they were able to do with The Witcher 3. If you remember, they went on that big campaign, 14 weeks of free DLC, new stuff every week, right? They gave. They put their heart, blood, and soul into this, into the franchise, but into their company. It looks like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a winner. In your opinion, with all of the evidence that has been presented to us by Express, by Reddit, do you think that there's a chance we get it? And how incredible would it be for them to come up and say, yes, it's available at X amount a day or whatever on the Microsoft stage?
It would be amazing, Boom, if it comes out in 2019. What we know for sure is, I'm pretty sure CD Projekt Red tweeted out that we are coming big at E3. We will have a big presence at E3. So it's going to be crazy if this game comes out this year. I said 2020 last time I was on your show, but if it comes out in 2019, Boom, it's going to be the biggest game this year. When we talk about big open world games, last year we had Assassin's Odyssey, fantastic game. Red Dead, another fantastic game. I believe this game is going to take it into a different level. And if whoever's played The Witcher, they know what these guys can do. This game is going to be mind-blowing when it comes out. The only gripe I got with it is it's a first-person game, and I don't like playing first-person games. That's the only problem I got.
Thank you. That is the not to cut you off, but that is quite literally why I'm struggling to get behind it. That is literally the only reason, because I love CD Projekt Red, absolutely massive Witcher fanboy. I just wish they'd give you the option to go third person, but carry on. Absolutely love your points.
So what I'm hoping is, the reason why I said 2020, I'm hoping they put a third person option in for us later down the line. I'm willing to wait another year, especially when next generation is around the corner. So just trust me, whoever's played The Witcher 3, I know Welsh has and many other people in the chat, it's an incredible game. These guys can make a game. So I have no doubt, even if it's in first person, I might give it a crack day one. But I'm hoping later down the line that they put a third person option in, and hopefully for guys who wants it now, 2019, hopefully it does come out. Because I'm not sure what other games coming out this year besides Star Wars at the end of the year.
Yeah, we know nothing. We know the only one that we're pretty sure is we're going to get a new Call of Duty in the fall, because that's pretty standard. We know that we're getting the Star Wars, but we know nothing else. All of that is going to be revealed in a couple of weeks at E3.
The Outer Worlds.
Yeah, the Outer Worlds 2 as well. Yes, good point. Great save on that one. I forgot about that. Well, I mean, look, let me just say this. Whenever it comes out, it's going to be amazing. Luke, what are your takes on all of the information that we talked about today with, I mean, there's a lot of evidence pointing to a release this year. I honestly thought we would get it in like the March realm of 2020. That's when I honestly thought. I was a little taken aback by this story, but I would gladly be more than happy to purchase Cyberpunk 2077 in 2019. What are your takes on this? Are you excited for the game?
Oh yeah, it's probably, along with probably The Last of Us 2, my most anticipated game, in the next few years. A huge Witcher fan. The third one especially was just absolutely insane. And have the collector's edition for that, which was really good as well. And CD Projekt Red are kind of, to me, they're that tier of developer right up there with Naughty Dog and Santa Monica and those kind of developers that they can't really do much wrong. I'd love it to come out this year. I really would. I don't think it's likely. I think there's been stories before that it had initially, when it was kind of in the gestation period of it being developed, it had a lot of issues and ideas were scrapped and it was rebooted a couple of times. And I think that because it's such a departure from anything they've ever done, I think they'll want to take their time to get it right. And also on a personal level, like, I really hope that it kind of coincides with the launch of next generation consoles, because I think that game in particular is one that will really help to sell what new consoles are about in terms of what it's doing, not just visually, but kind of in the world, NPC interaction, etc. So I think it'd be really good if it launched around that time and was cross generation. Yeah, I'd love it. I'd love it to come out this year. I just don't think it's likely, and I'd just rather CD Projekt Red take as much time as is required. They think they need to get it, up to the quality of Witcher 3, because that was probably one of the greatest games ever made. So, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's a really great point. Real quick before we move on to the next topic, I got to thank Midway 7 Monster with the outstanding $5 super chat. He says, "Love the show. Thoughts on prayers are with Shady." I'll forward that along. Thank you so much, and his family. Did I catch Mike Ybarra on RDX? You're damn right I did. I was one of the 20,000+ people that tuned in for that, because he has a ridiculous amount of watches on that video. That was a great episode. Brad Sams in the beginning, closing out the show was Mike Ybarra. What could you say? He preached options. Yes, of course, options are good. Some people in this community think otherwise. I don't understand why, but whatever. And the new Ninja Theory game, sci-fi, yeah, it's already sold. I agree. And of course, he says Cyberpunk day one. I agree. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for the outstanding generosity of the $5 super chat. And yes to everything that you said. I cannot wait for Cyberpunk. I cannot wait for Ninja Theory's new game. And of course, I really want to push the envelope with options are good, folks. Don't paint yourself into a corner. You're a better gamer having options. And I don't know why some people think otherwise. It's quite silly, to be honest. But I want to move on to the next topic. According to a story that I pulled from the Daily Star, they're reporting that Modern Warfare 4 by Infinity Ward will be the most ambitious Call of Duty game ever made. And this is coming directly from the developer. Now, as we know, Call of Duty is always a huge hit, pretty much every year without fail. I thought last year it was going to fail because it missed the single-player campaign, which is why it didn't get a sale from Boom. I don't like this the multiplayer. I buy it for the single-player stories. Well, that's good news For me, it's good news for fans of the single player aspect in Call of Duty. Now Taylor, and I'm butcher his last name, and I'm so sorry, Kurosaki, who was the narrative director, thinks that this will be the most ambitious game he has ever worked on. Now, keep in mind that he worked for Naughty Dog, who aren't slouches when it comes to storytelling. But if you look at the hype that is coming with The Last of Us 2, obviously story is important. Story in Call of Duty, to me, is important because it will actually force me not to buy the game if there's no single player campaign. Well, Call of Duty 2019 is already set to have what you would normally get in your Call of Duty games, and I'm sure it's going to have a zombie mode. I'm sure it's going to have your standard death match and everything else that comes with Call of Duty. But what it's going to have is an epic, one of the biggest and most ambitious epic stories they have ever told in a Call of Duty game for single player. I'm excited. Now, like I said earlier, I voted with my wallet in 2018, and I didn't buy Black Ops 4, and I'm not sorry. As a matter of fact, I'm not even playing it now that it's free trial. I could give a flying shit. But to be honest with you, a proper single-player campaign, now my ears have perked like a dog. I want a big, big explosions, big story, lots of different characters to use. My question to the panel, and of course to the chat, is: are you Call of Duty fans, and are you excited for the return of the single-player campaign? Does that excite you? Welsh, I'm going to go to you first, dude.
COD needs to die.
Yes,
that is all. Now,
finally.
Honest to God, COD, man. I almost feel bad for just dumbing it down, because you seem very excited, Boom, and I'm happy for you, man. If it's something you're excited about, more power to you. But for me, if you're asking me,
yeah, well, of course.
Oh man, they literally dub every Call of Duty as this is the biggest one yet. This is our most ambitious effort yet. And it's like, if we're just calling a spade, it is the same game over and over again with a new skin, and not to mention the old ass graphics engine that they've bloody used to death. I'm surprised it's hanging on. Will the new COD sell like hotcakes? Absolutely. Will I be hyped and buy it? Absolutely not. Should COD die? Indeed it should. But what I will say is, at the very least, if COD isn't going anywhere, I think the very least, if I could just get, in a room with the developer and just get a moment of their time, I would say this. They probably wouldn't listen to me, but I'd just say this. Just take a few years break, renew the graphics engine for a start. It's an absolute disgrace that they haven't done that already, and just do a bit of innovation before coming back. Like, take a nice birth and just come back with maybe like a launch title they usually have the marketing deal with PlayStation, so maybe a launch title for the PlayStation 5 that gives them a good amount of time to go back to the drawing board with their graphics engine and actually expand, make it bigger. Make the lobbies bigger, make a Battlefield size thing going on. I don't know, just shake things up, because at the moment I'm not impressed with pretty much every game they've made since Call of Duty 3, with the exception of the original Modern Warfare. I did love that one, but it's just the same cookie cutter bollocks every year. They need to really go back to the drawing board with that one. And I can't really say much more. When I hear the words Call of Duty, literally the hairs on the back of my neck.
Take a duty. That's what I want to
know. They make me want to take a duty. No, yeah, not to be negative, Nelly, but I gotta be honest on that one.
All right, no, that's fair. Zemi, I don't know whether you enjoy the Call of Duty series, but I certainly skipped last year's Black Ops. It looked great. It really did. And the trailer kind of sold me. I almost pulled the trigger, but then I realized I'm going to play for an hour. I'm never going to play again. And now that it's free for the month, I could care less. I haven't even picked it up. Are you excited to see Call of Duty return to its roots by giving the player who enjoys the story a campaign?
You know, I've never really been too big on Call of Duty stories. But with that being said, the Modern Warfare series was always one of the games that I actually sat down and played the story through. So I am very excited to see how they continue that story, and I'm really, really super pumped that they have one of like the writers that worked with Naughty Dog, and all that he says about it. I'm really hoping that it's an absolutely amazing campaign. But overall, I mean, I'm gonna buy it. You know, like I can't help it. It's like Call of Duty is like drugs to me, and I'm always chasing that high I got whenever I was 14 years old, and I have not gotten that same feeling since then. I really wish that Call of Duty would return back to the way it was. You know, I wish that they would really go back to their roots. And make it more shooter focused and less care package and all these fancy gadget in the game. I don't know. I mean, I'm really excited that it's modern. I mean, I'll be able to use an MP5 and an M16 and a P90 and a FAMAS and weapons that actually exist in life. I am pretty excited about that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna buy it. I can't help myself. I buy all of them, so I don't know if I'm gonna play it, but I'll definitely buy it.
All right. Well, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, obviously, if you buy it, you definitely should at least get your money's worth and play because I've had a lot of games stay in the wrapper myself. But Shan, I wonder your opinion on this. Call of Duty returning to its roots with a strong single-player, story-driven narrative has me excited. It has some people on the panel excited. But what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, it's great, Boom. I remember last year you were talking about Black Ops 4 and not having a campaign, and like I said, you stuck by your guns. You never bought the game, and it should be in the game, and I'm really glad it's in the game this year. And to be honest, when it comes to Call of Duty, I don't care as well. To be honest, I'm like like my brother, London Gamer. It's just,
I love it. I love it.
I agree with him. Me and him, I just don't care for the series, to be honest. But there's fans out there. Look, every year it sells like hotcake. It's one of the highest selling games year in, year out. And hopefully they deliver for the fans and put a great story in for you as well, Boom, and I'm not sure if it's got multiplayer in it or not, but a great story in it, and hopefully it's a good Call of Duty game for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, if they're coming back to it, there's a reason. I understand sales were good with Black Ops 4 because of obviously the battle royale mode and all the regular modes. The zombie mode was supposedly excellent. I'll never know because, like I said, if it was in the $5 bargain bin, I might pick it up for shits and giggles. But then again, I might not. Luke, let's get your final opinion on this. Call of Duty has in its past told some pretty epic, Michael Bay-esque stories with big explosions and bigger characters to match. I'm excited that they're returning to what I think is a proper Call of Duty, offering something for everyone. The gamer that likes everything they offer, then that's a great title for them. For me, I'm okay spending $60, or of course, if there's a collector's edition, buying that and just playing through the single player campaign multiple times because I've done that. What are your takes on this? Are you happy to see the return of the single player campaign?
Yeah, so I absolutely hate Call of Duty multiplayer. I really hate the multiplayer of the game. I just don't enjoy it all, and I never play it. But the single player I actually love. It's really enjoyable, and I think you summed it up best. It's just kind of like a 5 to 6 hour Michael Bay film.
Yes.
But I think, especially the Call of Duties of the past, were a lot of the people that made those are still at Infinity Ward, etc. But a lot of those people went on to Respawn, and obviously, if anybody's played Titanfall 2 and played the single player campaign in that is essentially a Call of Duty single player campaign. It's 5-6 hours long, and it is absolutely fantastic. And so I'm super happy they're bringing a single player campaign back because I think that's needed. I'll probably pick it up, but I won't touch the multiplayer. Just no interest in that side of it, but I will absolutely pick it up if it has a single player campaign.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, it's a big deal for me. It's a big deal for a lot of people, especially in the chat. I've seen a lot of talk about it. And now we're going to be getting, there's going to be an announcement coming up, I think in May, where they're going to show it, which is great. Get the people hyped. And those Call of Duty events usually go over very well, especially when you start talking about it, because it is a very popular franchise. But I am going to say this: the show, unfortunately, is going to. If you like the show, then guess what? You're getting extra content, because I couldn't get to all the topics, but I'm going to get to at least 2 or 3 more. So it's going into overtime, if that's okay with the panel, because obviously
the end game, boom, the end game,
the end game,
whatever it takes.
Whatever it. Well, thank you for that. Let's talk about Tomb Raider for a second, because that's the next story.
Yes.
And in a story that I pulled from GameSpot, according to the developers, Jonathan Don told US Gamer he would be extremely surprised if the franchise ended with Shadow of Tomb Raider, and then it was hinted that more Tomb Raider is on the way. And I got to be honest with you, I would be devastated if the Tomb Raider franchise took a hiatus in any way. You want to take 3 years between titles. I think that's more than enough. Obviously there are very few companies that could put out a title every year before it starts to get a little long in the tooth. We saw that with Assassin's Creed, and they had to take a break after Unity, and thank goodness they did, because the franchise has strived with Origins and Odyssey. And we know we're not getting one this year, and we're hearing that we might get something with Vikings, which is just amazing. But that's another whole topic. We're talking about Tomb Raider. But I want to say what Jonathan had to talk about. He said, "I'd be extremely surprised if we didn't see more of Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. We're not able to say anything about what's happening next, but I'd be very surprised if we didn't hear more about the franchise very soon." Now, obviously, we know the Tomb Raider franchise is one of the biggest and best known in all of gaming. I mean, everyone knows Lara Croft, whether you grew up in the PlayStation era or you started in your PlayStation 4/Xbox One era. There's a Tomb Raider for everyone. Classic Lara and the current ones, which I happen to think that they're phenomenal, Uncharted level storytelling. I love everything about them. Here's my question to the panel, and I'll start with you, Welsh. The Tomb Raider trilogy is fantastic, and I think you agree with that. For me, as a diehard fan, I would be very disappointed if it ended. And I said that a few seconds ago. I'd be devastated, but I actually would be extremely disappointed, because I think Lara Croft is an important character, not just for gaming, but for the female gamers. I think it empowers them to understand that, yes, they have a big place in gaming. And if you check the stats, they're almost as at 50% as many males that play games. So I think that losing that franchise, keeping her relevant, is important to gaming. What are your feelings on the matter?
It will continue. I can guarantee it. I can say for certain that they will continue to make Tomb Raider games. It's a beloved franchise that has more than qualified for its place in the history books. I mean, it's made the history books already. That's a cemented thing. Like, it's not going anywhere. I can confirm wholeheartedly that they will continue. There will still be Tomb Raider games when I'm 100 years old dribbling in a nursing home. Mark my words. It makes no sense on a business perspective to just call it quits when it's this popular and making the developers a fortune. It's still such a popular game. It would literally be like me or you, Boom, or anyone on the panel finding out that under your house is literally sitting directly on top of One-Eyed Willie's secret treasure, and you just decide, what's the point in digging for it? I'll just keep flipping burgers for minimum wage. I'm good. It's stupid. Like, they're literally sitting on a gold mine. Like, hell no, are you gonna just like say no to this bloody treasure? You dig until your blisters have blisters for that treasure. So like, these developers, like, they aren't going to call it quits. They have got a franchise that they're just going to make so much money on. Like, well, I agree, though. I don't think that they should milk it. Take a nice berth between projects and make sure it's a nice quality title and gets people hyped. Don't start releasing a game on a yearly basis. But I truly do believe, Boom, this is not the last we've seen of Lara Croft. It's too much of a moneymaker. People want the games back. want the games back. They want to see more of those games. It's a huge franchise that has been been around for a very long time. I see no sign of it ending anytime soon.
Well, I agree. I agree with you, and I think that it's important for the series to continue. She is a pinnacle part of gaming. Let's just say that. I think that, when you talk about gaming characters, and Zemi, I want to go to you on this. When you mention Lara Croft, right? You think Tomb Raider, but there's more power behind just the name. She has earned the right to be put on the pedestal next to Mario, next to Master Chief, next to Kratos, next to Nathan Drake, next to any of your favorite characters that have defined Marcus Phoenix, Luigi, Princess Peach. It doesn't matter. Pick a character that best suits you as a person in 2019, and that's where she belongs. What is your opinion, Zemi, on the fact that again, is it surprising that the series is going to continue? But how would you feel if it didn't?
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's very surprising in the least bit. I would, personally, I still haven't played all the newest Tomb Raiders. I started the very first one, got halfway through. I rented it from Redbox, and you know how expensive those places are. And I just ended up returning it. But with that being said, I do have all the games now. I just need to install them and play through them. They, are in my, eternal backlog, as I always say. I'm super, super excited to play them. It would be very disheartening if they weren't going to make, more Tomb Raider games. It's almost like Nintendo comes out and states, you know what? There's been enough Zelda. There's been enough Mario. Like, we don't need those anymore. Or Microsoft, like shoving the Master Chief in the can. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, they're definitely going to make more Tomb Raider games going in the future. I mean, because it's just a huge money pile for, I believe, it's Square Enix, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably one of their biggest money makers. There's no way that they're not gonna make a new Tomb Raider trilogy.
Yeah, actually, I agree with you. I think it's highly unlikely they wouldn't return to it. But Sean, I want to get your opinion on this. Like I said, Lara Croft, I think she's important to gaming, but more important to a demographic that is, of course, important to gaming. I love what she stands for. I love that she's vulnerable but strong, and her lore is just can go on for weeks. What are your takes on a new franchise, possibly a new trilogy?
That would be fantastic, Boom. You know that Lara Croft has been around for like 20 plus years, and whoever's played a trilogy this generation, it's amazing games they are. Boom, have you completed the Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
All of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic.
So there's a moment in there where she turns into a badass. I don't know if you remember that moment where she falls into the water.
Yes. No. She actually comes out a different person.
Yeah.
Vicious.
Incredible. That was. She turned into a Terminator then. I really hope to make. It's a shame because I know the sales have been good, but not incredible. It's a shame because Laura, she's a massive icon. She's up there with the Master Chiefs and the Marcus Phoenix and Nathan Drake, and I really, really hope that they do a new series for the next generation, hopefully. Because last generation, Tomb Raider it wasn't the best game last generation, but this generation, the new trilogy, they did a fantastic job, and I'm really hoping they do deliver a new trilogy next generation with next generation graphics.
It would be nice. It would be nice if that's what they're waiting for, to be honest with you. I'm interested to see the series continue. I love action adventure games. Listen, there's something about having to search for treasure. Maybe it's I want to secretly be a pirate, and I don't understand it, but I love the whole adventure aspect of games. Uncharted. I love like the wasteland, in Fallout, having to search for everything. I love what they have you do in Assassin's Creed. I love what they have you do in the Division 2. But something about searching, something about maybe again, I really enjoy the the franchise, franchises that do have you exploring. Indiana Jones immediately comes to mind. When you think of Lara Croft or Nathan Drake for that matter, that's what brings me back to sitting in the theater and being amazed by what he was doing, and to be able to do that as a gamer and play these games and live these adventures through these characters. It's really like nothing else. Luke, I want to get your opinion on this. First of all, Laura, and you know what? Maybe I'm a nerd. But just saying that particular line, I got goosebumps all over. I am going to be 49 in September, and I still have a Christmas-like feeling every freaking time I open up a new game, whether that's digitally or a collector's edition. And, getting a new Tomb Raider would excite me because I love the character. I love the franchise. What are your takes on this?
Yeah, I hope it continues. I'm a really big Tomb Raider fan. I know the sales for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I think, were a bit disappointing. But I think part of that was when it released kind of in the middle of a lot of other games. And also, the only thing I haven't liked about the reboots is that I don't think we needed 3 games to have her be the Tomb Raider. Do you know what I mean? Like, have them kind of form into the Tomb Raider we all know. And I think for some people, maybe that dragged on a bit longer, which is why the sales for Shadow weren't as good as the other games. Personally, I played Shadow and I really enjoyed it. I thought Rise of the Tomb Raider was better. I thought that was a fantastic.
I agree with you there. I agree.
I think that was fantastic, and the reboot Tomb Raider was also fantastic. But I think it'd be a real shame if the games didn't continue, and I fully expect they will, especially because from a personal standpoint, I really love action adventure games that are crafted single player experiences like that is. So the more of those that are made, the better.
Hello.
Boom.
I had put you guys on mute because guess what happened, folks? A fire truck ran by, and I wasn't listening to that shit once again. I'm tired of these damn fire trucks. Okay, real quick. Yeah, it's they wait for me. I think they're on the corner, and because there's been a stigmatism that the fire guys don't like the police guys. Maybe they're like, you know what? F that retired guy. When he's on his show, we're gonna run the engine right next to his and keep it going. Real quick before we move on to the next topic, I have to say a big thank you for the outstanding $5 super chat from the Atrocity Knights. Thank you so much for that. He says, off topic, Boom. Congrats on a shout out on your podcast from Brad Sims in his latest video. Holy shit, dude. I didn't know that. I have to watch this. I had it, I've been doing a lot of writing, so I missed Brad's newest one. That is awesome. And he says, talking about the Halo budget being kind of accurate. Oh man,
nice, Boom, nice.
Well, listen, this is I had breaking news on my on my show. I had Brad Sams, and now he's confirming. Well, guess what, folks? After this show, I'm heading right over to check out that show because it's nice to hear your name on other shows because it is kind of cool. And I have to just say, JD Gamer, with my goodness, my friend, thank you so much. He drops an additional outstanding $5 super chat. He says Tomb Raider needs a proper marketing campaign and to be released in May, not in the fall. I agree with you there, dude. Yeah. I absolutely 1000% agree. I think that the marketing, look, we're not going to beat this to death. We have 1 or 2 more topics before we get out of here. The marketing for Microsoft, in my opinion, as a fan, as a guy where he lays his head at night sleeping on the Microsoft mattress. It's not the one with the money. That's somewhere else. I don't have that one. But I still lay my head down being an Xbox fan first. And I have been extremely and severely disappointed with the marketing. The Boom's not working. So if you guys want a guy with a big heart and a big brain, hit me up, Phil. I will work for the company. It is okay. And I will make Xbox great again. Trust me when I tell you I will. But let's move on to the next topic. And
we'll work for games.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You should say that. Real quick, funny story, guys.
Go on.
Obviously, it's out there that I was a New York City police officer for 21 years, and we get good money for what we do. I wish it was better money because we do risk our lives every day.
Of course.
But with that said, there is a lot of overtime to be had, and sometimes it's not the greatest overtime. Usually you're standing on details 14, 16, 18 hours at a clip, and you're exhausted. But I used to do that on a regular basis, and some guys did it because they wanted a trip to Florida. Some guys did it because they had to make ends meet. I used to get my balls broken on a regular basis because I used to do it for games. I would go in the fall, right? I would work overtime for 2 months straight, like a lunatic. Like my wife wouldn't see me. It was crazy. And come the end of August, I would drop thousands of dollars down at GameStop for paying off everything in the fall. And then what I would redo the thing in the beginning of the year to make sure that March through May was paid. It was like I had a real process done for doing this. And the guys at work used to make fun of me, like, man, this guy, you looking at me, works for games.
Mm-hmm.
And, because obviously I was a younger dude. They're like, games, what do you play? When you play with Atari or something, I used to get, it was hilarious. But I used to work for games. It's funny. You should actually say that. But before we move on to the next topic, guys, I got to throw this out there because I would feel almost incomplete as a gamer if I didn't mention it. If you're going to be in California for E3, which is I'm going to be, FanFest has just gone live to register to have a chance to win a ticket. If you're going to be in the area, or you live in California, or you have an intention of being there, this ticket is going to give you a 3-day access to E3. You're going to get all 3 days for free. It's not for free. You're paying $45, but the $45 is being donated to a charity. You get an E3 pass for 3 days. You get FanFest, which has I think is a $200+ fan bag that they're going to be giving away. Those bags are usually packed with really cool stuff. And you're going to be able to get, if you get this ticket, you're going to be eligible to attend the actual briefing, which is really what I want to do. So I just registered, and if you're interested, go to follow FanFest on Twitter, and they have the link there where you can just register and see if you can get in, because it's going to be amazing this year. But you know what? I want to talk about a story that I thought was very interesting, and I think everybody in the panel, as well as the chat, is really going to appreciate this. It's a concerning story, to say the least, and I have to give him a big shout out. Community member Maddie P dropped this in a DM to me, and comicbook.com is reporting that GTA 6, the release date and and this is where it gets really crazy, that it's going to be a 30-day PlayStation 5 timed exclusive, was just leaked. Now, obviously, guys, look, here's the thing. Grand Theft Auto is the biggest franchise in gaming. I mean, for goodness gracious sakes, Grand Theft Auto 5 has crossed 100 million copies sold. It's mind-boggling. I mean, listen, I take nothing away. The game is amazing, and I bought it multiple times. I own it for the PS4, I own it for the 360, and I own it for the Xbox One. I think everybody in the chat and everybody in the panel, whether you know it or not, you bought it 3 times. You just don't realize it. And that's how many copies have been sold. It's 100+ million copies. Well, look, it's safe to when I read this, the first thing I thought of, well, this is lunacy, right? This is crazy. How could Sony actually afford to do this? Because obviously Sony as a whole company is not doing that well. PlayStation, on the other hand, is making money hand over fist, and for good reason. Their marketing, tremendous. Their console, the messaging, everything that they did with the PlayStation 4 in this generation, other than a few hiccups with the cross-play, and now you're hearing about this denying of the cross Destiny stuff. So they've done some gross things, but for the most part, they've done what they need to do to be the market leader. Well, according to an anonymous European developer, the next installment of the popular series that's coming, wait a second now, folks, next year, 2020 during the holiday season is alleging that Sony has been working behind the scenes with Rockstar Games for a 30-day exclusive. Now, I gotta be honest with you. 30 days does not seem like a big deal. It's good, but it's a newsworthy deal. So now, like I was saying in the opening, here's the thing. Sony as a corporation doesn't have spendable money like Microsoft. We're all aware of that. They don't have the Amazon money. They don't have the Apple money. They don't. They just don't. They're struggling in their TV sales. They're struggling in their movie picture sales, right? They're doing well in PlayStation. But here is where I put my detective cap on, and I said, you know what? I want to look at this from a positive Sony. I said pony. Oh my God, that's terrible. From a Sony point of view. I meant to say Sony point of view, not Sony pony. God damn it. Okay. Look, they canceled PSX, right? So people were devastated. And I actually said, I wish they would bring a PSX to New York because I would definitely go. They canceled PSX, a lot of money there. Didn't attend Paris Games Week, a lot of money there. Didn't attend Gamescom, a lot of money there. Skipping E3, a shit ton of money there. Now, does it start to make sense? Now, again, I'm looking at it from a Sony point of view. That's positive. It is possible that they were back-rolling a lot of their profits to work out a deal with Rockstar to do this 30-day thing. I said 30 days may not be a lot for a lot of people, but that's a big get if it's possible. Welsh, I want to get your opinion on this. First of all, does my math make logic? And would this be huge for Sony in the next generation with their PlayStation 5?
Bollocks.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Mate, with the exception of your the investigative work you did, your Inspector Morse stuff, I that kind of like, reading between the lines, like kind of makes sense. But generally, before you even opened your mouth about what you were saying about like the maths and stuff, like that whole topic, like, is pretty laughable for me personally. For multiple reasons. Like, one, Rockstar, like they even if there was like 100-day gap, Rockstar's games are gonna sell regardless.
Right, that is true. Yes,
but like the thing is, like, I knowing Rockstar and how they are, like they're just gonna want to drop their game on all the available platforms. Well, mainly Sony and Microsoft, maybe even Google Stadia is a player at this point. By the time that game comes out, who knows? But they're gonna just want to drop their game. Like, I don't think that they're gonna want to be messing around with 30-day gaps and shit. They seem too hard nosed for that shit. And talking Sony now, being that they've been living off flavorless Doritos for the last, like, God knows how many years, living off tins of beans. If they did manage to, I can't imagine it would be a small amount to wangle this deal. I don't know. It's just what a waste of time. Like, what a waste of resources to secure a game that's not even first party for 30 days. Like,
I see. Again, I agree with you there. If it was 6 months, I could see.
Yeah, if it was like 6 months, then fair enough. Like maybe you've got something. But then, even for like 6 months, which in my opinion would be at the minimum, like the only thing that would make this kind of deal worthwhile for Sony, they're not the most capable company financially. Sorry, I'm apologizing already. I'm sorry if you hate me for saying it, but it is absolutely true. They're hanging on by a thread financially. They have been in the negative for years. The only reason they're afloat is because of the PlayStation. That is a fact, not fiction. So why would they waste that? Because to secure 6 months for GTA 6, I imagine Rockstar would be like, oh Christ, give us an arm and a leg for that, mate. So like honestly, like, and if Sony was stupid enough to pay that amount, they're just, oh man, going into a new generation as well. I just think that'd be the most self-crippling business decision for an already struggling company financially. There's so many reasons why this is bollocks. And I just think, all in all,
I love it.
Like like just nah. I can't, honestly. I'm gonna leave it there. It's an interesting topic, definitely a good conversation starter, but logistically, logically, and just looking at Sony as a business with just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
I mean, look, it's an interesting story. No one has been talking about this. I certainly thought it would be fun. And again, I put my deductive cap on, thinking that maybe it made sense. But I agree with you. 30 days. You know why I think that there's something there is because it's a cheap move that Sony would do. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we've seen them do petty shit before. And even though this is not petty, this is a business move. I think holding the franchise ransom for 30 days is something that they would consider doing. But again, of course, you're talking about millions upon millions of dollars lost. They would have to pony up, I had to say it, a wad of cash to be able to afford a 30-day exclusive, let alone a 6-month one. Look, let me just say this. If it's an interesting take. Zemi, before we get everybody out of here, because the chat has been fantastic and you guys have been awesome for the extended 24 minutes. What are your takes on this story? Do you think that there's any truth to it?
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think that there's really any truth to this at all. One really big thing that caught my eye is whenever I was reading over the article that you sent us, in the article, it actually specifically says that the game will take place across 2 cities, which sounds absolutely fantastic. But one thing that really kind of just struck me the wrong way is I don't know if this came directly from the leaker and the reporter was just, typing verbatim what he said, or maybe the reporter just doesn't really know what he's talking about, or the journalist. But they mentioned how it was going to take place in New York and Miami. But see, that's interesting because any real Grand Theft Auto fan that is worth his salt will know that it's not New York and Miami, it's Liberty City and Vice City.
Yes,
so, I mean, that's one really big thing that just kind of made me question it. And then obviously GTA 5 made so much money, counting out all the money that they made just by selling the game. I mean, just think about all the microtransactions that they got with their online. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is a disgusting amount of money that GTA, that Rockstar has been able to pull in from this. So I don't really think that there's very much that Sony could really offer Take-Two or Rockstar to get them to agree to this deal. I mean, because at the end of the day, what is it going to cause? It's going to cause a lot of upset fans. It's going to cause, a mini PR disaster. A lot of people are going to be really, really upset. And why does Take-Two or Rockstar want to even have that negative opinion about them whenever they're already flush with cash? I think much less than, Sony selling the actual PlayStation company to Rockstar. I don't think that there's really a chance for them to get a 1 month exclusivity for the new GTA game. But with that being said, I would love to see a new GTA game like in 2020. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but I mean, I would love to see it, and I would love to see being able to go to 2 different cities. But beyond that, I don't really think any part of this rumor this leak could even remotely be true. Okay.
I mean, that's great points, dude. Really great points. Shan, what are your takes on, first of all, GTA as a franchise is a moneymaker. When you say GTA, it's going to sell like bucket loads, no doubt about it. And it would take bucket loads of money to keep that particular franchise off of the Xbox platform, even if it's for 3 days, let alone 30. But it would take a significant amount of money because Take-Two as a company would lose millions, and it would take millions from Sony, who doesn't really have the financial freedom that some of the other companies have to do it. What are your takes on this story? Do you think there's any truth to it?
When it comes to this, Boom, it's possible. You could take a look at Destiny when Sony kept content for 1 year lockdown or 2 years coming to the Xbox. So 30 days, maybe it's possible because Sony is going to be launching a new PlayStation 5. Maybe they could put that already as a selling point or something. So get buyers, fans, go towards the PlayStation 5 or something. We need to know more information about this. and GTA coming next year. Red Dead only came out last year, and they had a massive team working on that game. So GTA 6 for next year, I'm not sure, to be honest, Boom. But answer your question, like, would Sony do this? Yes. We've seen them. They've done this before with keeping content. Look at the game coming out, Control. Exclusive missions.
Yeah.
So it's possible. I will never rule it out. If GTA 6 does come out next year, it's possible. And I'll leave it as that.
Okay, I mean that's a great point. Again, we don't know. First of all, the releases between Rockstar Games are definitely stagnant, and they don't release it until it's done. And when you get these games, they usually run. They're probably the best polished games that are ever released from any company. They pride themselves on that because they obviously know their fan base is huge. Luke, close out today's show with your answer. GTA 6, even if it's a 30-day exclusive, would be a huge get for Sony just for bragging rights. I'm not sure how it would do for them because I'm going to be honest with you. If you told me I had to wait 30 days for GTA 6, I'd be like, yeah, all right, whatever. I'll just go pick it up when it's available on the Xbox because that's where I'm going to game anyway. We know that the Anaconda is going to be the more powerful system based on information that was released, so it's probably going to look and run better. So I wouldn't mind waiting, but I think that the money that that goes behind that back ends a deal this big would be substantial. What are your takes on this, dude?
Can I just quickly step in just 1 second?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, dude.
Yeah,
I just want to say that, like, on my point earlier, I forgot to open up by saying this, but just to be clear, if there was a 30-day gap, that wouldn't bother me. I'm not against it in any way. Obviously, I gave my reasons as to why I thought that was bullshit, but I just wanted to be clear from the off that, like, genuinely, if it ever did, for some reason, somehow come into fruition, I wouldn't be against it. I'm not a hater of the idea. I just think it won't happen. But yeah, carry on. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think. I think the rumor is nonsense. To be honest, I think if Sony and Take-Two are really willing to do it, I think Sony could absolutely afford it. I mean, they made about $6 billion of profit last year, so they're not on the same scale as Apple or Microsoft, but they're doing pretty well. But it's just it would be pointless. I mean, it just wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. For Take-Two, it attracts all sorts of bad will to their game because why make people wait a month to play your game? For Sony, what benefit do you get out of it? Most people will just wait for 30 days to play it on the platform they want. Hell, with a lot of people waited over a year and a half for the game just to come on PC. So, what difference is 30 days going to make to those people? I think it's just nonsense. It's not going to happen. And also, I think, as Sean was saying, Rockstar just finished up last year with basically all of their studios making Red Dead, 800 plus people. The idea that GTA 6 is in anywhere near a position to release next year is farcical, considering how long Rockstar take to develop their games and how much effort's put into them. So, I just think that the rumor is just way off, and I'm not sure where how that person has reported it like that, but I think it's just completely bogus. If it did happen, I wouldn't have an issue with it. I think it'd be very strange. Why a month? Why wouldn't you just pay as much as you could to make it longer so there's an actual impact? But yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's definitely would be outrageous. Oh, first of all, before we get out of here, I have to. JD Gamer, you have completely blown my socks off today with the outstanding additional $10 super chat. He says the rumor is true. Sony is sitting on $3 billion in the bank, and moves like this are their best chance of holding off companies like Microsoft and Google or Amazon by locking up content. Think of it as a Hail Mary. Well, you know what? I mean, listen, there's more evidence. I'm starting to believe, based on this information that JD has just provided, as well as my own deductions, that Sony would do something like this because obviously they know already that they're the less powerful system. I'm sorry if you're a Sony fan. I say, support all 3 consoles so you can remove yourself from the console war nonsense. But the reality is, and I'm not sure if everyone in the chat is aware, and I think you are, the Don, who is a developer, who has been on this show numerous times, sent out a tweet yesterday where he was briefed on 2 upcoming consoles. He didn't specifically name them.
Platforms,
and he said in the tweet that there's going to be a significant difference in power. And obviously we know Microsoft is not going to relinquish that power crown ever again. They made a mistake in 2013 with TV. That's not happening in 2020. And if that in fact is the case, Sony is going to not only have to lean on their first party games, which are amazing, but also, backdoor deals this big. But this has been, first of all, we're over 2.5 hours. I said we weren't going to do it. We did it again. Thank you guys for being here. First of all, I have to thank the chat. You guys are something I look forward to reading and seeing and welcoming every time I do a show. You support this channel every time there's a show on, and I greatly appreciate it. The amount of great messages that I've received, through DMs on Twitter, and of course through different platforms like YouTube, have been really heartfelt and make me appreciate that I'm here doing this, and that you guys appreciate what I'm doing, and it really is a two-way street. The super chats, guys, you have been just completely, really just knocking me on my rear. The generosity of this community is really second to none, and I cannot thank you enough. And of course, the panel, guys. I could not run a show if it wasn't for everybody's incredible opinions. Let's get everybody out of here, and let's start with you, Welsh. Welsh, listen, we know that your channel, which I think everyone should subscribe to, has some older content you can check out. Right now, he's, from what we understand and what he said yesterday, he's fully dedicated to the Xbox Factor podcast, and I can't thank him enough, because quite frankly, he is 50% that powers the show. I could not do it without him, nor would I want to. But you know what? For because you are going to put content up on your channel, please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more specifically, cross you from that 2,000 sub mark that you're very close to.
Oh, that's fantastic, Boom. I had a great time on Breakfast with Boom. It's been a while since I've been a guest on this show, and it's an absolute pleasure. Loved chatting to you guys on the panel. And for anyone in the chat, you're all stars. Absolutely love your support. You're amazing. For anyone who wants to sub to my channel, and because I will be putting content on there eventually, mark my words, it is The Welsh Gamer, 3 words. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at The Welsh Gamer 93, 1 word. DM me if you ever want to chat, if you want to party up and game, or if you just want to, I don't know, follow me just generally, anything, whatever the case.
You have a lot to say on Twitter, so that it'd definitely be a good way to
I'm very active on Twitter. It's never too strenuous to type up a little tweet here and there, and I'm very vocal, so you might get a kick out of it. But yeah, everyone in the chat, your stars, hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. Boom, you're an absolute legend of the source. You literally put on a great show week in, week out. Pleasure to be a part of it. And guys on the panel, thank you for joining. It was
thanks.
I had a lot of fun chatting to you all.
Thanks for the kind words. Real quick, Gotham Guy with the outstanding $5 super chat. He says, wanted to say hi before you guys ended the show. Great show as always. I registered for Xbox Fan Fest tickets. Hope I win. Yes. Throw luck this guy's way. I'd love to see him win. I like to see everyone who really wants to be there win. That would be great. Zemi, we talked about it before. I hope you're registered. I hope that you get in. That would be cool to actually meet you in real life, because that's really what my goal is, to get there, to be a part of something special. But more for me is I really want to meet a lot of people in the community, people that I talk with on DMs, people I talk with on Twitter, people that I've podcasted with. I'm really into community, and getting to meet other people that you've worked with that you don't know is always amazing to me. Zemi, first of all, your channel, 10,000 subs. I'm not sure if you've hit the mark, but it's amazing. You are really one of the community's finest. You do go out of your way to be a good guy. You're constantly doing charitable work, which is just phenomenal. Please tell everyone where they can sub your channel, because I know you just put up a new video, and where they can follow you on Twitter, dude.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Boom, for continuing to have me on here and throwing me out the invite to become a regular panel member. It means a ton. We had so much fun today talking about all these great gaming news and topics and everything. So thank you, Boom. Thank you to the panel. Thank you to all the viewers. Had so much fun today. If you guys want to, you can follow me on Twitter and YouTube, all at the same name, at Ambassador Zimmy. And yep, that's it. Thank you.
Nice. Well, great to have you, dude, as a regular panel member. Great that you were here once again. Love how comedic you can be, especially when you start talking about the scary stuff. It's great. It's great work. Shan786, we having you on the show is always great. It's well, real quick. Oh my God, Creeper with the with the unbelievable and show-stopping $25 super chat. My goodness, Creeper. Wow. Thank you so much for that. That is wow. Before we go, great show. Listen, dude, that is amazing. The fact that you're in the chat is enough, but this is really a well I can't say thank you enough for this kind of a gift. That is just an outstanding amount of money. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for always being a fan. And wow. But you know what, Shan, let's talk about you for a second. You're one of the people on Twitter I enjoy looking for, because you know what? You're not nasty, right? You're not vicious. You don't poke, but you know how to throw a joke out there and have fun. You're the gifts that you make. They may not be animated, but some of the stuff that you do, it literally makes me laugh out loud. It's crazy how funny some of your stuff is. Tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter so they can experience the same kind of laughter.
Yeah, it's all fun and games, Boom. You know, when I tag all you guys, I know all of us are like, we all won anyway. We all kind of laugh on the joke, and you do get the odd few that
some people get triggered. Yes,
and it goes on for days. Let's leave it as that. You can follow me at SP Gamer 786 on Twitter, and like Boom, I love this show, and the 3 shows you do, and especially with London Gamer as well and Salty. You do incredible work, to be honest.
Thanks, appreciate it. Thank you.
The amount of hard work you put in the writing, that's what many of us are willing to stay longer on the podcast and get through the topics. And the chat's amazing, Boom. One of the best. And when it comes to E3, Boom, I really hope you get everything. You have a great experience, and even Zemi as well. Congrats on Zemi and Shady, being permanent members on Breakfast with Boom. So just
thanks,
amazing.
Dude. Amazing. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, having them on is a big deal. I enjoy their banter each and every week. And of course, again, thanks for being here today, dude. And last but certainly not least, Luke. And again, not Skywalker, because I don't have the budget, but I do enjoy your time on here. You are you're a person that enjoys gaming. You enjoy I enjoy seeing the passion that when you talk about it. Please tell everyone where they can follow you. But if they want to, hook up with you and maybe play some games, give them your gamer tag as well.
Yeah, sure. So by all means, follow me on Twitter. It's LukeSteele90. So always happy to have a bit of back and forth on there. My gamer tag is CoreXXE. So that's COREX space XE. I'm on fairly often at the moment. Mainly playing Red Dead, actually, but happy to play whatever people like. It's always, even though I've only been on here twice now, I really enjoy coming on here. It's just really refreshing to talk gaming with people who are passionate about it and positive about it as well, because I think that's something that people lack sometimes, is actually looking at all the good that's going on in gaming. I think that's where you're exceptional, Boom, at doing that. So thank you for having me on. Great chat as always, and that's all.
Well, listen, once again, thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you for the extreme generosity from everyone that donated to the Super Chat. Once again, thank you to my absolutely outstanding panel. Please, I want to wish everyone a very safe and happy Easter. Have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. Be kind on social media. Treat others how you want to be treated. And guess what? We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Peace.